the football talk show that holds back nothing on opinions.
Straight shooting LJA.
Hi, I'm John Sitton.
Grassroots coach Manisha Taylor.
Hello, I'm Rob Perez.
The G-Man.
Samira Sawney, Motivate Sports and Fitness.
Christian Carambeu.
Matt Hodgson, Director of the 4-Year Plan.
We the people, for the people. Jazzy Fizzle.
Your Monday night footballing fix.
Make sure you join the revolution.
The pitch is where we eat.
The pitch is where we sleep.
And the pitch is where we talk. Each and every Monday night of your lives.
At youtube.com/pitch talk.
For podcast links and information, check out our official website www.pitch-talk.com. Ladies and gentlemen, Pitch Talk proudly presents a full sit-down interview with the current chairman of Alexandra Park FC, Director of Student Development at a secondary school, has played for APFC for 9 years and seen the club rise and help the SAL with their sponsorship. To ask Dave a question, email pitchtalk@gmail.com with Dave McLaughlin in the subject line. Pitch Talk meets Dave McLaughlin, coming soon.
Hello, I'm Rob Perez.
Grassroots coach Manisha Taylor.
Christian Carambeu.
Matt Hodgson, Director of the 4-Year Plan.
Dave McLaughlin.
I'm Rob Lusher.
Andy Copeland from the Glennet Southern Amateur League.
Philip Wick, I'm CEO of 14.
Former Chairman of Ibis FC.
Chairman of Alexandra Park FC.
And you're listening to
Pitch Talk, the only place to get your Monday night footballing fix.
Because the pitch is where we eat.
The pitch is where we sleep.
And the pitch is where we talk. Make sure you join the revolution, the football revolution.
Hi, I'm John Sitton and I'm here with Gavin, Liam and Gerald on Pitch Talk.
The football talk show that pulls no punches and holds back nothing on opinions.
Hello, I'm Rob Perez. My name is Christian Carambeu.
I'm grassroots coach Manisha Taylor.
Hi, I'm Matt Hodgson, Director of the 4-Year Plan, and you're listening to Pitch Talk, the only place to get your Monday night footballing fix.
Make sure you join the revolution.
The pitch is where we eat.
The pitch is where we sleep.
And the pitch is where we talk.
I'm Andy Copeland from the Glennet Southern Amateur League.
Philip Wick, I'm CEO of 14.
I'm Rob Lusher, former Chairman of Ibis FC.
I'm Samira Sawney, co-founder and co-director of Motivate Sports and Fitness.
And you're listening
to Pitch Talk.
iTunes, Podomatic, Mixcloud, Spreaker, and live on Mixler. Just testing to see if everyone's there. Because ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, straight shooting LJ, the G-Man and Jazzy Fizzle, proudly bringing to you the football talk show that pulls no punches and holds back nothing on opinions. Because the pitch is where we eat.
The pitch is where we sleep.
And the pitch is where we talk. Yes, that's where we talk. Yes, I said talk, not talk. Talk.
Talc?
Talk.
Talc avoids chafing. But anyway, www.pitch-talk.com is the
Make sure you avoid
website.
chafing, everybody. Use talcum powder. You heard that from the straight shooting one first, yeah? Avoid chafing. Stay safe. Use talcum powder.
Heard the show? Buy the talc. Buy the talc. Oh my God. www.pitch-talk.com is where you can buy the official Pitch Talk talcum powder. No, I'm kidding. It's where you can find out about everything Pitch Talk. www.pitch-talk.com. I can't get around that. Oh my God. Oh, yes. Facebook.com/Pitch Talk. Become a fan, become a friend, become a member of the group. Join the footballing revolution we are working so hard to create. MySpace.com/Pitch Talk. PitchTalk.blogspot.com.
You were doing so well.
Or .co.uk.
So well.
I can't help it. He's wrong when he wants.
He's wrong when he wants.
Liam Angell.
He's wrong when he wants. And one half of the third team champions in the world of being a wrong'un.
Big shout out to Big T, who actually won a bet because
Throw
of
them
Arsenal,
T's up.
because of Arsenal
Stoke.
because of that score.
Yeah.
I just thought of Arsenal Southampton because of Chesney being dropped and Ospina being in this week, so I had to bring that back up. But pitchtalk.blogspot.com or .co.uk will get you to the blogs. Blogs by yours truly, Straight Shooting LJ, the G-Man and Jezzy Fizzle, and many others, including Dave Mear, aka at Mearsey on Twitter, Russ Vernon, and many, many more.
And doesn't Russ have a new blog up about Leeds v Sunderland?
He does, because he was actually at that match.
Yeah. So make sure you go over to pitchtalk.blogspot.com or .co.uk. Either one will get you there. Hey, give it a read, drop a comment, and then get in touch with Russ. Yeah, let him know what you thought about that particular game and what you thought about his roundup. Okay, because
seen the blog, leave a comment. Seen the blog, leave a comment. Leave a comment.
This is it. It's all about getting involved. So make sure that you are joining and a part of the footballing revolution we are working so hard to create. But
Mike Harniman has 2 more blogs coming as well.
this is it, man. It's all in the pipeline. So make
DJ
sure,
Hardy.
make sure you subscribe to our RSS feed so you get the latest updates. Yeah. Otherwise,
DJ Harney of Storm FM. HA.
I was gonna say because it sounds like you're saying
No.
DJ Heine.
No, not Heine again.
That's what it sounds like.
Oh my god! But you know what?
I don't know if it's accent or what. It just sounds like Heine.
Twitter.com/Pitch Talk or at Pitch Talk on Twitter. Tweet us, follow us, see what we're up to. Also 07535804466 is the mobile number. Big shout out to Jack Hinchin, actually. Hitman Hinchin, what is up? Also big shout out to Kirsten Ayres as well. Lavinia Watson, what's up? I know she's a YouTube subscriber as well, so it's one of them was big shout outs. I was taking part in a photo shoot earlier today for one of the Birkbeck University societies. It was a lot of fun. It's a hell of a lot of fun. Got testing photography skills, so it was all right.
No, it's good, man. Shout out to everybody that got involved in that. And listen, I hope you're listening. And if you're not listening, make sure you download the podcast as well. Yeah, get involved. Join the footballing revolution. We're working so hard to create. And listen, make sure it takes over Birkbeck because look, it's 2015. It's the new year. We are doing it bigger, better, and better.
Speaking of bigger, badder, and better, youtube.com/Pitch Talk is where you can find Pitch Talk meets Sahel Remen, the first wheelchair-bound, fully qualified football coach. That interview, full-length interview, and the trailers are up on YouTube. Pitch Talk meets Girls on the Ball will be coming in February. Keep an eye out for the releases of that. And we've got, in a couple of weeks' time, actually, we're going to be sitting down with Dave McLaughlin, the chairman of amateur league side Alexandra Park FC, 14 SAL side Alexandra Park FC. So it is one of them ones where if you want to get your questions in, pitchtalk@gmail.com is where you need to email.
So yeah, that's video questions and text questions as well. Listen, just whatever questions you've got, whatever you want to see asked during this Pitch Talk meets interview, hey, get your questions in. You know what? Do it right now.
Yeah.
Okay, I know you're listening right now, but do it now. Okay?
Soon as do it now. Listen, no longer ones. Let's do it now. I love that song. No longer ones. Let's do it now. Wait, DWE and Bison and Tyson. He's a DWE's one of them ones like MC Creed. I find him funny. Creed it again. One of them ones. But you know what we are going to do? We're going to pause that particular track that we're on because of time, we're going to have to skip one of the normal segments. But what we are going to do is we're going to go straight into
General Talking Points.
Wow, wow.
Cause I like the way, I like the way, I like the way. I like the way, I like the way you.
Wow, wow.
I like the way, I like the way, I like the way. I like the way, I like the way you.
Wow, wow.
I like the way, I like the way, I like the way. I like the way, I like the way. I like the way, I like the way, I like the way. Let's go. I like the way you do your thing. I like the way you do your thing. I like the way you do your thing.
This is Pitch Talk.
Where we going? And I like the way. I like the way.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for this one. I don't know. I like the way. I don't know what the hell is going on. The way. I like the way. I like the way.
I like the way. I like the way. I like the way. Hey.
Yeah, let's roll into some general talking points. And where we're going to start is some awards that have been given out this
Good place
week.
to start.
Because Wayne Rooney scoops the England Player of the Year award. Wayne Rooney and Tony Duggan have been voted by the fans as the Vauxhall England Players of the Year for 2014. Man United striker Rooney played all 13 games for the Three Lions last year and was top scorer with 8 goals. He was also named Roy Hodgson's captain after Steven Gerrard's international retirement in the summer and earned his 100th cap, scoring in a 3-1 Euro 2016 qualifying win over Slovenia in November. Apparently that guy's a midget. He's not a kid. If we're watching the right thing. So, yeah, but Manchester City striker Tony Duggan scooped the majority of the votes in the Women's Player of the Year poll after a fine 2014 for Mark Sampson's side. The 23-year-old bagged 6 goals in 10 games, including a hat-trick, as the England team crushed Montenegro 9-0 in a World Cup qualifier. Her overall record of 14 goals in 24 internationals is an impressive return, and she'll be looking forward to performing at the World Cup in Canada later this year, which I think our friends at Girls on the Ball are actually going to. So
Nice.
Fantastic stuff.
I hope they bring me back some maple syrup.
Oh yeah. Or some Canadian bacon. Canadian bacon. I wanna go to that International House of Pancakes at some point. But also, West Bromwich Albion forward Saido Berahino edged the vote in for the Under-21s Player of the Year, with 16% just ahead of informed Tottenham Hotspur man Harry Kane, with an enviable strike rate of 1 goal in every 2 games. For the Under-21s last year, Berahino was often selected as the man to lead the line for Gareth Southgate's side. So, Yaya Toure. Once again, on 8th of January 2015, Yaya Toure has joined Samuel Eto'o as the only player to win the continent's top individual award 4 times. But not just that, Toure has done it in successive years, starting in 2011. So he's African Player of the Year again. His latest triumph came ahead of two other finalists, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang of Gabon and Nigeria goalkeeper Vincent Enyema, in a poll of coaches and captains of Africa's national teams. Now, in terms of awards, Cristiano Ronaldo for the 2nd time in a row and 3rd time overall. Portugal and Real Madrid's Cristiano Ronaldo was crowned as the best player on the planet after an incredible season that included the UEFA Champions League and FIFA Club World Cup for Real Madrid. He's become the first Portuguese player to achieve the biggest award 3 times in his career, beating fellow nominees Lionel Messi and Manuel Neuer to this year's award. Cristiano's brilliant 2014 included 31 goals in 30 matches in Spain's La Liga, a haul that saw him finish as the 2013-14 top scorer, as well as a record 17 goals in the 2013-14 Champions League campaign. The other finalists were Lionel Messi and Manuel Neuer as well. World Cup finalist and a World Cup winner in there. The FIFA Women's Player of the Year is Nadine Kessler. At the age of 26, German midfielder Nadine Kessler ended an incredible 2014 by being crowned FIFA Women's World Player of the Year. The captain of Wolfsburg succeeds fellow German international Nadine Angell, last year's winner. Now, shifting on to some more FIFA awards, the men's coach, 2014 was a golden year for German football, and especially for Joachim Löw. He managed to assemble a historical team that saw Germany win the FIFA World Cup for the first time in 24 years. The achievement saw him nominated for the Coach of the Year award for the first time in his career. Up against him were actually Carlo Ancelotti and Diego Simeone, both actually fair shouts for that award as well. But we move on in terms of the awards because there's still more. The FIFA/FIF Pro World 11 2014, Manuel Neuer in goal, Sergio Ramos and David Luiz as the co-centre back. Okay. Anyway, Thiago Silva as left back, Philipp Lahm right back, Toni Kroos at centre mid, flanked by Angel Di Maria and Andres Iniesta. I'm sure Di Maria was before he moved to Man United, Jesse, before he started grinning like a Cheshire cat. Arjen Robben, Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo round out the front three. Now, that's quite surprising, actually. That's actually quite a surprising one. But the Fair Play Award goes to the Fair Play winner. Anyone who has attended and enjoyed a FIFA tournament over recent years will testify to the indispensable role played by the competition volunteers. And while the smiling, ever helpful behind the scenes stars are generally seen as unsung heroes, their mammoth contribution was recognised this evening with the bestowing of the FIFA Fair Play Award. This honour recognises and promotes the spirit of fair play in the beautiful game, and as FIFA Secretary Jerome Valcke acknowledged, no one displays this spirit better or more consistently than tournament volunteers. So FIFA tournament volunteers got that. And the FIFA Presidential Award, Hiroshi Kagawa actually got it. 89 years old, Hiroshi Kagawa was the oldest member of the press corps at the 2014 FIFA World Cup final in Brazil, and the Japanese journalist was covering his 10th global finals. His first was in 1974 in West Germany. He was at the final at the old Olympia Stadion in Munich, a game that inspired him to embark on a globe-trotting career covering the beautiful game. Now, the Puskás Award, the kind of controversial Puskás Award. The finalists were Stephanie Roach of Republic of Ireland. The goal was fantastic. Robin van Persie was another finalist as well, after the Percying trend that was inspired by his acrobatic header, you could call it. But it was James Rodriguez who actually won it. The extraordinary volley with which James Rodriguez opened the scoring for Colombia against Uruguay at the Maracanã in the round of 16 in Brazil 2014 has been chosen by users of FIFA.com and FranceFootball.fr as the best goal of 2014. There's a bit of controversy around Stephanie Roach potentially getting it because there was a lot of questioning about the level that it was done at. But the fact of the matter is, a great goal is a great goal. That's no matter where it's scored.
You still have to score it. I mean, exactly. it's like I say, you know, you can only beat the team that's put out in front of you. So.
And Hiroshi Kagawa is not Shinji's dad. Tom Wood asked that. He did ask that, sir. But Stephanie Roach's goal was just that pure. Oh. Yeah, that's the reaction. My reaction when I first saw that last year was more expletive than that. But Bomba, wow.
Techers.
No matter what level you're at,
Techers.
Any goalkeeper.
It's a great goal.
Techers.
You know what I'm saying? It's an effing fantastic goal.
Unbelievable Techers.
Might as well Janola's goal.
It's
Barcelona.
I thought you were going to say the one against Ferencváros. I thought you were going to the one against Ferencváros in like 97, 98. But it is one of them ones. But you know what, yeah? James Rodriguez's goal, I can see why I got it. And whether it had been that, Stephanie Roach's goal, or Van Persie's goal, I wouldn't have had had a problem with any of them.
I think they're all deserving winners. Yeah. But then I think, I don't know. Colombia were a surprise package of the World Cup.
Very much
You know, and it was an absolutely fantastic
a lot
goal.
of surprises you could drop in a package.
And then the other thing to say about that was, look, the celebration afterwards was fantastic as well. I mean, did they not have an award for like best celebration of the year? Because I would have given it to the Colombian national team.
The choreography was off page.
Me personally, I'd have given it to them.
He is a midget, by the way. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the little it's one of. But you know what? Yeah, coming back to the World Coach of the Year, Jurgi Low.
Yeah.
Totally agree with that.
Yeah,
but for me, if Jurgi
the 24 year worth of waiting and hurt.
Yeah.
What?
But the fact that Jurgi Low got Coach of the Year and Manuel Neuer didn't get Player of the Year strikes me as kind of weird, because both of them had a massive hand, literally and figuratively, with Manuel Neuer in winning the World Cup. So it doesn't kind of compute for me. As much as Ronaldo's achievements have been amazing, they've all been at club level. Neuer stepped up not only at club level in the last 2 years, but he went and won the World Cup. You don't get much more prestige. You don't get any more prestigious than that in football.
No, you're
That
right.
is the pinnacle.
You are right, and I think that there has to be a bias in football against defensive-minded players who play in goal, like Neuer. Because here's the thing: for him to even be on that short list of 3 players, he had to be absolutely fantastic. He had to be arguably the best goalkeeper in the world. So then he was literally the best goalkeeper in the world because he won the World Cup. So how he doesn't get a more serious consideration than that, I don't actually know. But having said all that, though, when you do go and look at Cristiano's record, and the thing
In a
about,
3-team league, basically, go on.
but 3-team league or not,
You do have to leverage that slide.
No, you do, but 3-team league or not, okay? This isn't just about last year for me personally. This is about the last 5-6 years. This guy has been otherworldly for that whole entire period of time. We're not talking about Gareth Bale, who had arguably a very, very good season last season for Real Madrid.
Just share the kudos, isn't it?
Right? But at the same time, look at that goal score record. Did you say 31 in 30?
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Most players are happy with 1 and 2 at best. Yeah? It's over 1 goal game. Most teams do not score that amount of goals, much less
Aston
one player.
Villa don't.
No, but this is my point. He's outscored all Aston Villa by himself.
Oh yeah, comfortably. I think he's outscored most teams in the Premier League.
No, but this is my point.
Not just comfortably, but
Comfortably. But this is my point, right? So if he's doing that by himself, right, and we haven't even spoken about his assists.
Yeah.
We haven't spoken about that. Oh my goodness. Haven't spoken about,
Yes, oh my goodness, Ronaldo's assist, yes.
The team plays. We haven't spoken about, as I say, even what he's won. We're just talking about his goal scoring prowess and the statistic of that. Then of course you add in what he won, Champions League, which is the 10th Champions League for Real Madrid, La Decima.
Yeah.
Then goes on.
Times.
Then goes on to go and win the World Club Cup.
Yeah.
As well. So I'm like, look, for him to go and do that, again, otherworldly. Now, Lionel Messi, again, he's been another player that's been in ridiculous form. I think the biggest difference between Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo last season was what they won. I think that was the biggest difference. Yeah. But again, Cristiano Ronaldo been absolutely otherworldly, and to me, he deserves it. He deserves it for that and that alone. But what I would like to see in the future is more nominations for defenders and more nominations for goalkeepers. Now, am I happy that Manuel Neuer happened to be in the final shortlist of 3? Absolutely. Am I happy that he didn't win it? No, because as I say, he literally proved he was the best in the world. Like, didn't Bayern do a domestic double? Mm-hmm. And then after that, he goes and wins the World Cup? Yeah. So I'm like, what more do you want?
Exactly. Right? Exactly. What more can you do to get
Real
to win
Real
the
Madrid
Ballon
didn't do a domestic double. They did European and World double, I suppose. But that's about it.
Yeah.
Right, he did it at home in his league, and I think they won the league with something like 10 games to spare or something ridiculous like that last time I checked. So his team was so good that they did that. Then they go to the World Cup, absolutely destroy the home team. Let's not forget. To the point where I think Thomas Muller and Dante will probably get into a fight soon if Thomas Muller continues to make jokes about it. Right? So I'm like, his team did that.
I will bang you up if you don't stop,
Like his team did that. Then they go and beat the team with Lionel Messi in it. So, I'm like...
They beat off some stiff competition. That's all I can say.
Just adding, my personal views on the whole Neuer situation. I think he should have won it. On the fact that you look at it, like he was a big contribution to what Bayern have been doing over the last 2 years.
Absolutely massive.
And if you topple that up with the World Cup and what he done in the World Cup as well for Germany, and like you said, he's won the World Cup. So how honestly, how can you overlook him for Ronaldo? Ronaldo's set some records for himself personally. He set some records, for Real Madrid, and he's helped the team massively. But in terms of the year comparisons, I'd say Neuer, is the better player, because Bayern without Neuer, you could honestly say, where would they be? Equally with Ronaldo, with Real Madrid, you could say that, but you'd think with the team that they have, they could actually do a lot better. They could actually do as well as what they were doing.
No, of course.
Well, I look at it like this, right? And I'll wrap up, and then I'll hand it over to the Skypers to get their opinion as well, because I think it'd be interesting to hear what they have to say, right? For Manuel Neuer to get on the shortlist where normally it's generally reserved for attackers, there's no midfielders in this list, just forwards. Generally speaking, right? He's in it as a goalkeeper, so he has to be really, really good.
Of course.
Has to be ridiculously good. So to even get to the shortlist as a goalkeeper is really, really good. So how he happened not to win it, I don't know. And let's just point out as well, listen, he happened to deny Lionel Messi in the World Cup final. Lionel Messi's the other person that happened to miss out on this award. So he happens to do that, and he still can't win? I don't know about that.
Because it's just the good old boys and the politicking. Maybe. Anyway. Lily Alumi, you wanted to jump in on the Ballon d'Or awards and the other awards that we've mentioned so far. By the way, Wayne Rooney, congratulations, deservedly so, really. I mean, best of a bad bunch in terms of England. Tony Duggan, congratulations as well. Lily Alumi, you wanted to jump in?
Yeah, I agree with what you've been saying about. I think it's good that Manuel Neuer was nominated, but like Jesse was saying, I would have liked to have seen him won it, to be honest, because as good as Ronaldo is, he does win everything. And it is slightly, what's the word? Slightly predictable.
Yeah, no, I'd go with that.
I think, anyway, but I suppose on the balance, looking at it, he does deserve it because he did have a good season.
Yeah. No.
I mean, his season wasn't
at least
just
it
good.
wasn't. At least it wasn't rigged like last year.
His season wasn't just good. His season was absolutely otherworldly. I mean, like his goal scoring record for Real Madrid alone is absolutely redonkulous. So, the mere fact, and this is the thing I'm talking about. Yes, we're talking about an award for 2014, but if you're looking at his performance level since he's gone there and even before he's gone has not dipped. If anything, it's got better by leaps and bounds year in, year out.
Yeah.
Every single year he's banging in goals. Every single year he's racking up assists. Every single year, literally, he is the focal point of that team. Right? The time when Real Madrid happened to struggle was when he happens to be injured or out of the lineup. Simple as that. On top of that, he has the aura. He has the aura of one of the best players in the world. Simple as that. And that most teams happen to see him on the team sheet. They're trying to figure out how many of our players is it going to take to stop him, not everybody else.
Yeah. I heard it.
Right? And even when they launch a game plan where there's several players trying to stop him, they still can't stop him because he still finds the back of the net. How else does he happen to score 31 goals in 30 games?
Racking up against smaller teams. No, I'm kidding. But Kieran Riley, you wanted to jump in as well.
To be honest, I think Ronaldo deserved it after the season he had, apart from the World Cup, obviously. But to be honest, when I was looking on Facebook earlier, I kind of agree with some people. I think Manuel Neuer should have won it for his goalkeeping skills. He's been an absolute tank.
No, definitely. I mean, Russ Vernon, did you want to jump in as well before we move on? Oh.
Yes, I did, Liam. About that, me laptop just froze a moment there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, go on. Have it.
Yeah, after the awards finished, I've actually seen the vote breakdown of the votes for the Ballon d'Or, and I'm surprised Neuer didn't come second in the votes, because Ronaldo come first with 37.66% of the votes. Second was Messi with 15.67%, and then Neuer come third with 15.72%, and then is a big drop down to fourth where Robin was, which surprised me because he had a good season with Bayern like Neuer did in 17.7. I thought he had a good World Cup as well, but for me, I posted that on Twitter earlier on today with who my top three would have been, and this is how my
So who would your winner have been, Russ? Who would you have win instead of Cristiano
Ronaldo? In third, I would
Ronaldo?
have put Messi.
Okay.
Second, Ronaldo. And then I would have given Neuer the Ballon d'Or because of the season he's had in the fantastic World Cup he had and the saves he made in the World Cup for Germany in the semi-finals when they beat Brazil and everything. And he's had an amazing season for Bayern Munich as well. So I'm just surprised that Ronaldo won it. Yeah, he scored a lot of goals, but for me, they should look at not just the goals he's won, the trophies is when you should look at the contribution to the all season with the saves and to the all of 2014, including the World Cup. And if they don't take that into this consideration, the World Cup and the performances for the club and everything, I think Neuer would have probably won it. But for the goals he's scored, Ronaldo does deserve it. But for me, I would have given it to Manuel Neuer.
Fair enough.
Well, Ryan wanted to jump in as well, didn't you?
About to say Ryan wanted to have a say on this before we change subjects. Right, over to you.
I thought Ronaldo deserved it more than Messi, like he does all the time. I mean, Ronaldo doesn't just play up front; he plays out on the wing. I mean, the only thing I can agree with, Neuer did deserve to be second because he kept so many clean sheets and he swept the ball out for Bayern Munich, for Germany, and he was so immense at doing that. He knows what he's doing. He's better. He's the second player that I would have given the Ballon d'Or to, but I thought Ronaldo deserved it.
No, I hear that. I mean, in pure numbers, it does make sense. But contribution is where the discrepancies, I think, start to creep in. Not only to club but to country as well, which is where Neuer gets kind of a lot of the backup.
Yeah, and I think that's what has been grossly overlooked in this scenario. But then, of course, let's not forget it's also popularity, right? Most players who happen to play football, and I'm talking about kids, how many of them decided from a very young age I want to be a goalkeeper? Not many.
Yeah,
how many decided
always want to be strikers?
This is it.
Even at my level, at my age, people still do that.
So it's as simple as that. And then, of course, you want to talk about the most popular players. If we just go and translate that to video games for a second, right? Yeah. Cristiano Ronaldo is probably 1A or 1B or joint top either way.
You rarely see goalkeepers gracing the covers in football games.
This is the other thing.
It's quite sad, actually.
So it's a matter of look. If you
wasn't there Peruzzi on one of the FIFAs back in the mid-90s?
Possibly, I'd have to go.
It was 98, maybe 19.
I'd have to go. I'd have to go and look at.
Was on
I'd have to go and look at the history of the FIFA covers.
I might look into that actually.
From way back to FIFA International Soccer.
I think it might.
But yeah, no. I mean, taking in all the other popularity factors, I think that's what let Neuer down. But if you're looking at actual achievement, the fact that he happened to do it with his club team and internationally and win everything, he deserves it for me.
Hey, congrats to him. Congrats to Rooney. Congrats to Tony Duggan. Also, congrats to Saido Berahino and Jurgi Lowe as well.
Yeah.
One of them was Berahino. Hey, he's proven it consistently over the past year for the under-21s, and in the last few games, he started proving it in the Premier League, as opposed to Harry Kane, who's only just been proving it in the Premier League recently. So the Berahino Award is an award for consistency.
That is, but I mean, the thing about Harry Kane as well is that now, right, he's actually taken up that mantle of all of that additional pressure of being the main guy. Whereas in recent games, in recent months, you know, on and off the field, Saido Berahino, he's actually, you know, started to cool off a little bit.
Well, he has got a potential. Well, there's that offence that he's got hanging above him like a sword of Damocles.
And that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know, like if for me, if he was really as focused as he needed to be, whereas Harry Kane is at the moment, especially when you look at his goal scoring record for Tottenham.
Yeah.
Right? One, that doesn't happen. And number two, right, even though that does happen, you respond in the right way. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying he didn't have to do that in the FA Cup. Absolutely he did. But I'm saying that now he needs to do it on a more consistent basis. Now, I know that there's talk about him potentially leaving if rumours is to be believed. But even to do that, he still needs to perform. Now, I'm going to jump back to one of the other awards, African Footballer of the Year with Yaya, or as I like to say, Toure. Now, for me, he head and shoulders by a long way.
I still think Drogba was in with a shout. Just purely because when he came off
Drogba, la 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 la, Drogba, la la la, yeah.
But the fact,
those Gala fans are brilliant.
Yeah, I was still gonna say that Emirates Cup 2013 was a memory that will live long, baby. But that forever. The that's it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Forever. Super Dragon.
That's all you Botchamania fans out there.
That intro's tremendous. I've downloaded that on my phone as well.
But yeah, no, I just think absolutely immense, right?
Yeah.
And then of course, okay, you have to look at the off the field stuff that happened as well. And then you look at his performances towards the tail end of 2014, bearing that in mind. And look, he's come back now to be the focal point of the Manchester City team. Again, everything's going through him. He's still scoring goals. I'm like, what else do you want him to do? What else do you want him to do? Leads his country by example, leads his club by example, wins what he needs to win with his club. Now, does it necessarily work out with the country? No, but is he hands down one of the best technical players, regardless of position?
Yeah.
And then is he one of the best players? Again,
not very much
in the position? Yes. To both of those. So, does he deserve it? Absolutely. I'm saying this. Find me another African player that deserves it more than him. Now,
Aubameyang and Nyema were deserving.
Aubameyang, I can understand the mention, and the team is done, you know, quite interesting things. The team being Dortmund this season. But again, if you want to look at the guy who happened to take the game by the scruff of the neck, lead his team to the title, that's what he did. And then of course you want to take the off the field stuff, where unfortunately his brother passes, and you know, obviously condolences to the Toure family in that regard, right? But then he comes back from that, right, where people are beginning to doubt him. They're saying, well, you know, he's off form, totally happening to forget that all this stuff happens to happen to him, by the way. Right? Not to mention one of his teammates for the national team, his father does too. So it's like, look, he happens to go through all of that adversity and still come back to the level where he was. Remember, he's won this thing 4 years in a row. It's just like what I was saying about Cristiano Ronaldo. Look, it's not just 5 minutes ago that Yaya Toure happens to be like, yeah, and leading everything from the front. He's been doing it for 4 years. So, you know, and as I say, year in, year out, just like Cristiano Ronaldo, performances get bigger, badder, and better. So, if that's not enough to deserve the award, I don't know what is. Now, I say Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, you know, here's my thing. He's had, maybe 2 good seasons, but has he had great seasons like Yaya Toure? Has he won what Yaya Toure's won? Has he won what Yaya Toure's won? Where he's won it? No.
No, I don't.
No. And at the same time, did he have the same personal tragedies that Yaya Toure had?
Did he have?
And did he still come back from that? Yes, he did. So, Yaya Toure.
So, deservedly. So, by the way, speaking of personal tragedies, Junior Malando, we do have to give our condolences to Wolfsburg, Belgian midfielder who died at age 20.
Couldn't believe that when I heard that news.
From the 11th of January 2015, Wolfsburg's Junior Malando had died at age 20 in a car crash in Germany. The Belgium under-21 midfielder had made 15 appearances for the German Bundesliga side this season, including against Everton in the Europa League. Wolfsburg sporting director Klaus Olofs said in a statement, "We are all deeply saddened and our disbelief can hardly be put into words. We can't believe he is no longer with us. Our thoughts at this difficult time are with his family and loved ones." Alofs also added he was the good spirit of our team and a fun-loving person. In addition, Junior was an excellent football player who was only at the very beginning of his development. Puts a lot into perspective, the death always does. So our shout outs to and rest in peace to Junior Malando, who died at 20 years old. So young, so soon.
I know. I mean, the funniest thing, we always happen to talk about a few things that happen to be bigger than football, and life. Football is
we're going to get into one of those points as well.
Football is just a part of life, and I will say this, I'm grateful for the life of Junior Malando. I am, because of all the people who he's happened to influence and inspire. And, as I say, condolences to his family and may he rest in peace. But I will say this, right? I want to dedicate my participation in the show to him and his family. And I also want to say to his teammates, his friends, his family, let's continue to honor his memory by, doing what he would have wanted us to do in the way that he would have wanted us to do it. That's bigger, badder, and better. Not just this year, but going forward. And to Junior Malando, thank you very much.
It's a great shout. That is a great shout. On that rather sobering note, somber tone, must be said, we'd like to ask the question, after a week's absence, Mr. Ian Kerr, are you with us?
Yes, hello boys. Hello.
Hey, I was hoping
there
was a dramatic pause.
There was a pause while I realised I'd muted my microphone. I couldn't find out where to unmute the bugger. Anyway.
You know what? Let's intro you properly, because it is time for, even though we ain't doing results analysis this week, baby, we are still going to have... Oh, you didn't know? No? Ian Kerr's going to tell you about A-League football.
Well, I'm not actually. That's the thing. I didn't know how to break it to you all. There's no A-League at the moment. And why? Because it's the Asian Cup. The Asian Cup, which is the equivalent of the Euros, is being held in Australia right now. I mean, not this very second. It's quarter to 9 in the morning, so there's not a lot of games going on. Kicked off on Friday night with Australia versus someone. Geez, who was it? That's a worry, isn't it? I was there too.
Do we need to give you now the rating of
5 stars? -5 stars.
For that one?
Yeah, thanks. I was definitely there. We had the opening ceremony, which was blasted through the speakers at an unreasonable volume. So it's only just kicked off. Asian Confederation. So it's as far west, as far as Australia is concerned, as the Middle East, all the way through to places such as Japan, South Korea, and Australia, of course, because Australia is now a member of the Asian Confederation. So we're still in the first, in the group stages, 4 teams per group. Each team plays 3 times, obviously, and we're just about finished the first round. Australia won 4-1 on Friday night, and Mile Jedinak rolled his ankle, so he's out of the game tonight, and he will be replaced as captain of Australia by Tim Cahill.
Oh.
So,
one veteran for another there, yeah?
Well, Tim Cahill is about 80 years old, but he still scores goals. This is the thing. Even though he's over there in the North American Superannuation League, the MLS. And he came back. He scored Australia's opening goal on Friday night, and also goals to Massimo Luongo, who plays for Swindon Town, and somebody else. I don't know. I can't remember.
Someone else.
I saw. Honestly, I was there. I kid you not. I was there. It was James Troisi. James Troisi is Australian-born, but plays in Italy these days. No, he doesn't. Jeez, where's he play?
He did. Used to play in Serie A.
He's a guy. He's got 2 legs and he plays football. So it's been an interesting experience so far. We've had basically, as I said, the opening rounds of matches. No surprises so far. So the strongest teams are probably South Korea, Iran, Iraq, Japan and Australia. Iran played in Melbourne a couple of nights ago and it was insane. You wouldn't believe there were so many Iranians living in Melbourne. There would have been about 15,000 Iranians in the stadium. It was basically like an Iran home game. So it's exciting stuff having basically, as I said, it's the equivalent of the Euros being held here in Australia. 4 host cities, so Melbourne, Canberra, 5 host cities, Melbourne, Canberra, Newcastle, Sydney and Brisbane. Australia is playing tonight in Sydney. I'm off to Canberra in a couple of days to see, wait for this, I'm going to see United Arab Emirates versus Bahrain.
It could be tasty.
I don't know. So there are some rather obscure teams running around, but they're getting good crowds because the tickets are priced ridiculously low. So you can get a ticket for $5.
Oh no,
so
not bad.
$5. It makes it worthwhile. You go along, watch the game. It's good fun. So I'll be able to give you a bit more of a comprehensive report next week. I might even do some homework, tell you who's played. And so they're playing 2 games a night at the moment. So you have the group stages, then the quarterfinals, semi-finals, and the final will be held at the end of the month. In fact, no, the finals held on Saturday, the 31st of January. So Australia played Kuwait on Friday night. It's just come to me. There you go. Australia played Kuwait. In fact, Kuwait went 1-0 up. A bit of a shock to Australia. But Australia's defence, pretty shabby. Always good to let in 1 or 2 goals, as we saw in the World Cup. So anyway, I'll bring you something a bit more comprehensive next week, fellas. But I'm happy to take questions from the floor. I can make no guarantee they'll be able to answer them, given the state of my memory this morning.
The first question I do have, actually, is where can we find out more about Thin White Line magazine?
Oh, you could ring me. I have a phone. Just ring me on my phone.
Call me on my mobile.
I'll drop round. I'm going to be home tonight. So just drop round. Let me know, though, so I'll have a few copies of the magazine. So Thin White Line magazine, buy it online at thinwhiteLineMagazine.com. We've got issue 3 is coming out fairly soon, so get in there and subscribe, because subscribing is the way to save money. You save money. It's brilliant. We've got a couple of t-shirts still around. Maybe we should have a giveaway at Liam. Maybe that's what we should do. Next week, we'll have a giveaway. Well, we've got a week to think about why we'll give away a t-shirt. You can have any size you like, as long as it's large, because they're the only ones I've got left.
Well, perfect for me.
So,
I think G-Man's already won the t-shirt.
I'm a winner.
It's more rigged than last year's Ballon d'Or.
I was trying to win the magazine, like I think it was yesterday.
Yeah, but I saw your entry and I thought, oh man, you got to do better than that. So just for those of you playing along at home, on Friday we just had a random competition. I said, tell us why you should win. So it's no game of skill. Just tell us why you should win. And Liam wrote in, not Liam, G-Man wrote in and said, because I'm in it.
You got to be in it to win it, and because I'm in it. All I gotta say to that, G-Man, is
-5 stars.
Anyway, so we'll have a competition. So think about it, and we'll have to be a game of skill or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, so I've seen there's some questions in the Skype. So hey, let's answer the questions. What time is kickoff? They're at 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock Australian time. Australia is East Coast, which is 11 hours ahead of the UK. So that means you're looking at what? Oh, geez, 7 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning. All right, UK time. And I think it was, where are we? Yasser Kassim scored for Iraq the other day. He did. It was last night, in fact. He plays for, what do you call it, doesn't he? He's another, oh, blimey. What is the problem with me this morning? I clearly haven't had enough sleep. Swindon Town. Thank you very much. Swindon Town. Does Australia have a good chance of winning the tournament? Oh, it's hard to say because what Australia is going through a bit of a transition period at the moment at the national level. We had a very good group of players that came through and went to the 2006 and 2010 World Cups, but basically haven't regenerated very well. A bit like Doctor Who, you know, sometimes he regenerates well, sometimes he doesn't. In this case...
A bit like London building projects.
We've got a couple of good players, but, you know... I don't know if Australia's going to make it through to the final. I reckon Australia's good to make it to at least the quarters. It'll be terrible for crowd numbers if they don't make it to semi-finals, but there you go. Is there any way you can watch the games online? There is. I think there's a crowd called livesport.tv. If you look up livesport.tv, they have the rights for many European countries to broadcast the tournament. Otherwise, BT Sport or whatever it's called, they have the A-League in the UK, and they often have unusual things. Who's the biggest threat to win the tournament other than Australia? All right, basically the favourites would be Japan. Japan's a fairly strong team in Asia. South Korea performs consistently. Many of you remember that Gus Hiddink coached South Korea to
the semis in
2002. Yeah. So they're a good team. Iran saw them play the other night. They're a pretty strong team. They don't really understand the offside rule very well, but other than that, pretty good team. One of the things you notice when you're watching the Asian Cup is that some nations are a lot more physically developed than others. If you look at some of the smaller Middle Eastern states, their players are typically a little bit more lightly built, whereas Iran's players the other night, they were bloody built like, you know, the more in the professional footballer mould, if that makes sense. So, anyway, there you go. I'll hand it back to you guys, fellas.
Nice one. You know what? It is one of them ones. Remember FinnWhiteLineMagazine.com, Facebook.com/Finn White Line Magazine, @TweetsWhiteLine, and Finn White Line Magazine. You can also find on IG, Instagram. Heard the roundup? Check out their podcast. Buy the shirt, and buy the mags.
Subscribe.
It's one of them ones.
Get following. And tell them we sent you.
You know what? And a big thank you to Mr. Ian Kerr of Finn White Line Magazine, the editor of that wonderful magazine. You know what?
We're in issue 0, don't you know?
Speaking of bigger than football, we mentioned that earlier.
Yes, we did.
Convicted rapist and footballer issues apology. This is from the 8th of January 2015. It's been the elephant in the room for the past hour that we've been live on air.
Yeah.
Footballer Ched Evans has apologised for the effects of his actions in 2011 but continues to maintain his innocence over rape conviction. Evans issued a statement hours after it emerged League One side Oldham Athletic would not be signing the player. He was jailed in April 2012 for raping a woman who's 19 years old at a North Wales hotel. The 26-year-old said, "I wholeheartedly apologise for the effects that night in Real has had on many people, not least the woman concerned." Evans later released a statement on his own website blaming Mob Rule for the collapse of the talks with the Latics, Oldham Athletic. Evans said the more radical elements of our society had the desired influence on some sponsors. He added, "The most significant issue for me was that owing to the threat of funding opportunities being withdrawn, which may jeopardise the building of Oldham's new stand, it would mean that workers would lose their jobs and others would be put at risk. That would simply not be fair." Prime Minister or co-Prime Minister David Cameron, aka Davy Boy, boy Cameron, as I like to call him, told BBC Northwest tonight he believed in giving people a second chance, but that it was unrealistic for Evans to expect to get straight back into the sport. He said perhaps he needs to do more to put back into the community in some sense of atonement for what he's done before he restarts his career. Wales international Evans was released from prison in October 2014 after serving half of his 5-year sentence, but attempts to resume his football career have been met with widespread opposition. Oldham issued a statement on Thursday condemning death threats to fans, sponsors and staffs while explaining their decision to pull out of signing Evans. The whole issue is divided opinion and the club has been put under unbearable pressure as a result, read the statement. Proceeding could have placed significant financial pressure on the club and continue to be a divisive influence. As a consequence, the deal could not go ahead. As a club, we condemn all crime, including rape, and irrespective of any appeal procedure, it was always the case that we were prepared to withstand the barrage of abuse that is evident within the country and on social media. We deplore and condemn the vile and abusive threats, some including death threats, which have been made to our fans, sponsors and staffs whilst this process has been in the public domain. Finally, we would like to place on record our gratitude to all who have supported the club during this difficult period. Now, Evans had been criticised for failing to apologise to his victim because he actually really didn't. He said he apologised for the effects but didn't apologise for the action. That's where it's kind of going here. But in a statement issued via the PFA, he said, upon legal advice, I was told not to discuss the events in question. This silence has been misinterpreted as arrogance, and I would like to state that this could not be further from the truth. I do remain limited at present by what I could say due to the ongoing referral to the Criminal Cases Review Commission, and whilst I continue to maintain my innocence, I wish to make it clear that I wholeheartedly apologise for the effects that night in Real has had on many people, not least the woman concerned. Finally, it has been claimed it has been claimed that those using social media in an abusive and vindictive way towards the woman are supporters of mine. I wish to make it clear that these people are not my supporters and I condemn their actions entirely and will continue to do so. However, Jill Soward, who campaigns for victims of rape, told BBC Radio 5 Live, actually, she thought it was a pretty weak statement that had been put together by solicitors. She said, well, I think it's too little too late, really. I think that the damage has already been done. The damage has been done for years, and particularly in the past 3 months since his release. The PFA issued a statement to clarify his position. It read, we have had some discussions with Oldham Athletic regarding the interest that they expressed in signing Ched. Although we feel it's important to make clear that contrary to what's been reported, we were not driving any deal. As we understand it, the club and player were in discussions and contact was then made with the PFA as matters progressed given the particular circumstances of this situation. We were simply being asked to publicly reiterate our support for the club in signing him. Now, moving on, as said, Ched Evans had blamed mob rule, but it is a case of in terms of this issue, Latex Chief Executive, Oldham Athletic Chief Executive Neil Joy said he talked about deploring the vile and abusive threats, but Joy said the clubs were always prepared to withstand the barrage of abuse over any agreement to sign Evans, and praised the player and his team's professionalism at all times. The whole issue is divided opinion and the club has been put under unbearable pressure as a result. Now, Greater Manchester's Police Chief Constable Sir Peter Fahy said his force would investigate threats to Oldham staff and their families, but GMP later clarified that no threats were currently being investigated as they had yet to receive any complaints. So that's an interesting one. But the Oldham director on January 10th, Oldham director Barry Owen said he has no regrets over the club's attempt to sign convicted rapist Ched Evans. Owen says the financial implication of losing sponsors would have put the Latic's future in jeopardy. I will never regret it. I am hugely disappointed for many reasons that I can't discuss. So it's one of them ones where there are a couple of other interesting points actually, because high profile sponsors threatened to end their association with the club if Oldham signed Evans, and Owen said that forced the club's hand. Mecca Bingo and Zen Office were among the sponsors who threatened to cut ties with the League One side, while Verlin Rainwater Solutions did so. We knew there would be a storm to bear and we were prepared to accept a lot of that and take it on the chin because we believe strongly in the right to employ this man. We did not anticipate the amount of sponsorship sponsorship pressure, which was understandable because they were under extreme pressure. In the end, it came down purely to the finances. We would have been in extreme financial difficulty with the withdrawal of sponsorships we would have had to withstand, and it would have put the club into serious jeopardy. Now a little more on that. Owen, who was a former Greater Manchester police officer, said he understood and empathised with people's opposition to the signing of Evans. There is a fundamental right that the boy can work, and I fully understand the opposition to it. I've seen the effects of rape on people, which is frightening. Now in terms of, also, all those points came into the due diligence which we carried out. We looked and balanced everything against them, but at the end of the day, there are no Football Association rules against the signing, no laws in the land. There is nothing in there to say how we should go along the rehabilitation process or anything stopping us from proceeding. We, the board, are all family men. We are a small club and do not have millions of pounds to withstand the pressure put on us. Every one of the directors have daughters. The chief executive has family. Many members of staff have families, and they were supporting this lawful act we were carrying out. Now, it's an odd one actually, because obviously with some of the key moments that have actually happened. 20th of April 2012, Evans was found guilty. 30th of May 2012, Sheffield United released Evans, a player they signed from Man City for £3 million in 2009. 19th of July 2014, Evans launched a fresh bid to have his conviction overturned by asking the Criminal Cases Review Commission to examine his case in the hope it will lead to a new appeal. He got released on 17th of October 2014, having served half of his 5-year sentence. On the 19th, 2 days later, the CCRC said it will fast track its investigation into the Evans conviction and said the process could begin within weeks. Nigel Clough said that talks took place on the 15th of October about the possibility of Evans returning to Sheffield United, but on the 11th of November, almost 150,000 people had signed a petition urging Sheffield United not to take him back. 12th of November, two patrons of Sheffield United, 60s pop star Dave Berry and Sheffield businesswoman Lindsay Graham, resigned. Shirt sponsor DBL Logistics said it would end their association with the club if they re-signed Evans, while Deputy Prime Minister Nick Clegg, the MP for Sheffield Hallam, reiterated his early statement that footballers have a public responsibility to set an example for other people. Followed on November 13th by Olympic champion Jessica Ennis-Hill saying she wanted her name to be removed from a stand named after her by Sheffield United if the club offered Evans a contract. Sheffield United then, 7 days after that, retracted their offer to let Evans train with them. So Oldham Athletic on December 1st denied reports linking Evans to a move with the club. And on December 3rd, the CCRC began their inquiry into the rape conviction and say that the investigation could take 35 weeks. Hartlepool boss Ronnie Moore said he would like to sign Evans on December 20th, saying he's a proven scorer. He's served his time and the boy wants to play football. Now we're going to hang on to that point. And Hartlepool a day later said they won't sign Evans, irrespective of his obvious ability as a football player. Maltese side, Hibernians said they wanted to sign him and made an offer, but the Evans camp actually denied any offer from Hibernians, while a Ministry of Justice spokesperson said that strict conditions imposed on sex offenders effectively rules out working abroad. Now, 4th of January 2015, PFA Chief Gordon Taylor reveals an unnamed club was going to hold a news conference at that time regarding Ched Evans, and then we ended up learning that was Oldham Athletic, and Oldham said that they may not go through the deal after more than 30,000 people signed an online petition urging them not to sign him up. A woman on the 6th of January 2015 actually started a petition against Evans' proposed move. And on the 7th of January 2015, after days of negotiations, Oldham owner Simon Corney said there's an 80% chance they will sign Ched Evans. and says 3 unnamed Premier League club managers offered their support. So there's an interesting one there. But on the 8th of January, a day later, Oldham decided against signing Evans following threats to staff and the families. But Gordon Taylor, on the 9th of January, I had to apologise after comparing the Evans case to the Hillsborough disaster in a BBC interview. Yeah, it's one of them ones.
I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah, you know what? This whole thing.
Yeah.
We discussed this around the time that Sheffield United were being linked with taking Ched Evans back. So we're not going to retread over too much. But the G-Man's point that he made at that time always sticks in my mind. If you're innocent and you believe wholeheartedly you are innocent, instead of trying to get back into the game immediately, why not let the appeal process take its course, get that sorted, and also it lets the dust settle on what's happened as well in terms of your jail release, then try and get back into football. Maybe give it a year or two before you try and get back into football, because walking out of jail immediately for something as serious as rape, a crime as serious as that, and let's not underestimate or misconstrue the seriousness of rape as a crime.
I mean, the thing about
I think Ched Evans dropped the ball. Firstly, by coming straight out of jail and say, right, I want to get back into football. It's like, bruh, it's not that simple. The fact is, number one, you are a convicted rapist. Number two, the fact of the matter is you've got an appeal pending, which the CCRC, Criminal Cases Review Commission, are going to fast track through. Even though it could take 35 weeks, it's one of them ones. You may want to see how that goes before deciding, because at the end of the day, there was always going to be a crap storm coming. Surely any sort of supporters of Ched Evans, friends, the PFA should have told him to lay low. Gordon Taylor, on a general basis, I'm not a fan of, because as I've said on PT shows here before, the dude Gordon Taylor likes to pick his spots where he starts shooting his mouth off. He very much picks his spots, and he's dropped the ball. The Hillsborough comparison, you're an idiot. Gordon Taylor, you're an idiot. From yours truly, straight shooting LJA, what a moronic thing to say. One was a tragedy, and the other, you're talking about a convicted rapist, and you're trying to act like there's some sort of correlation between the two. There was legitimately a media campaign to smear people who were innocent, whereas Ched Evans has been proven criminally. He has served a jail sentence for something he did. Ain't no ifs, no buts. Let's see how the appeal turns out, because that's going to be an interesting one. Because if his appeal is successful, he still might not get back into the game because of the crap storm that he should have seen coming. Because of the crap storm already that there's been, I think bridges have been burnt. I don't think anyone's going to want to touch him. If you'll pardon that phraseology, I don't think anyone's going to want to touch him, because he's basically, I said, he's burnt his bridges by coming out straight away. He's tarnished the name. Well, Hartlepool were tarnished by being linked to him. Oldham Athletic have had their name dragged through the mud a bit. Sheffield United have had the same thing. They've had sponsors threaten to pull out, and some have actually pulled out, as we mentioned. And but for me, the fact of the matter is, if Ched Evans via appeal has that decision overturned, then okay, it's like, all right, fine. The thing was wrong, but you've already burnt your bridges. You should have waited.
You know what? A lot of people would have eggs on their faces, I reckon, to be honest.
Of course. Of course. People who shot their mouths off and said, oh yeah, he shouldn't be allowed back in the game.
For condemning him, because at the end of the day, like I said before, if you're innocent, you know, you're gonna, and you believe you're innocent, you're gonna come out fighting just to clear your name. Because I wouldn't be wanting to personally walk around out there, you know, being said that I'm something that I'm not.
No, exactly. If hypothetically, if I was a rapist, I went to jail for it. I knew I was innocent and I needed to prove it. As said, I would be like I had this discussion a few days ago with Jack Hinchin, aka at Hitman Hinchin. That is a good asterisk. But no, it's one of them was if you've been convicted and you feel that the conviction was wrong and you get it overturned on appeal, surely all of your energy should be going into that, not coming out and looking for a football club.
Definitely.
You see how something Jesse said earlier, and we've said many times, certain things are bigger than football.
Yeah.
Clearing your name, if you feel you've been wrongly convicted and wrongly jailed, clearing your name should be top of that list of priorities and nothing else should come close. Nothing else. As said, if I had been convicted of a crime that I didn't do, I could give less than a damn about anything else. I am clearing my name because I ain't having people call me something that I'm not if I'm not that. And that's the big thing. If he is not guilty of raping that woman in that real hotel. If that's a big if. Because the appeal could find that Ched Evans was guilty. Then, of course, he's burnt his bridges and he's still got the conviction there. And he's got the added thing that the appeal has proved that the conviction was correct. So it's one of them. So I said the PFA to me are hilarious in this. Instead of encouraging Ched Evans to, you know what, take a sabbatical from the game, if you truly believe and know you're innocent, clear your name. Take a sabbatical from the game, clear your name, then come back and we will support you. I think that's what the PFA should have been like. Not, we're going to try and get you into the game. Like, you want to go back into the game straight away, fine, we'll support you. Because people had to see, he had to see this crap storm coming. He had to. I mean, I said but the thing with football is such an unscrupulous sport. You had where was it? Where was it? I think it was at Hartlepool actually. Where Hartlepool boss Ronnie Moore on December 20th saying he would like to sign Evans. He's a proven scorer. Why do you have to? All right. Then he said, "Oh yeah, he served his time and the boy wants to play football." Why didn't that come first? Why didn't Ronnie Moore only say that? If he had said he served his time and the boy wants to play football, that wouldn't have really raised alarm bells for me. But the fact that he said he is a proven scorer, nah, Virgin, I don't care how talented you are. If you're a convicted rapist, I wouldn't want you in my club, proven goal scorer or not. You see where I'm going with football being an unscrupulous sport?
No.
You got a guy going, he's a proven goal scorer. So in my view, because of that, he served his time and he wants to play football.
I know.
That's what it looks like to me. And Ched Evans' hollow apology, I'm sorry for the effects, but he hasn't said, I'm sorry to the girl I raped, or to the woman, I was convicted of raping. He didn't say that. He just said, I'm sorry for the effects of it.
Yeah, no.
So it's a hollow apology. And also you got bearing in mind the timing. Bearing in mind the timing of it as well. It was just the timing of it was actually quite funny anyway, because as had been said, it's too little too late.
Well, I'll say this. The first part of what I want to say is obviously, yes, he's been convicted, but he's also served a decent enough chunk of his sentence and done enough in prison for them to let him out early. So that's the first bit.
Yeah.
Right. The second bit that I want to say is, right, I totally agree with you in regards to the apology. How they've gone and put that together in terms of him and his lawyers, and even him by himself. I'm thinking, what kind of advice were you taking? Like, who was advising you, right?
Because he only issued the apology on January 8th.
Well, there's that too.
Considering he was released in October, that's a good while.
Yeah.
Why isn't the first thing you do come out and apologize?
Yeah.
But again, if you believe you're innocent, then maybe he feels no reason to apologize. But then at the same time, if you
want to apologize for the effects,
Yeah,
if you're going to apologise for the effects, then
you're kind of.
You might as well apologise for everything.
Yeah,
that's my thing.
Yeah,
with that,
you're essentially admitting. You're basically admitting the crime, in my view. If you're apologising for the effects of something, you're basically admitting the crime without saying so. Because you don't want to bury yourself.
Well, I mean, that's where it gets technical, and I'd say it's
not just about what you say; it's the way you say it as well.
Well, it's that too, but I'd say that's down to perception as well.
Yeah.
But having said all that, though, right? I'm looking at all these clubs that may or may not have been interested in him, right? And I'm thinking, I don't know if they actually had a meeting with the club's PR department and the finance department, right, before they even decided that they were going to be interested in him, right? Yeah. Because it's like this, right about now, okay, there are lots of issues in the world right now, not just, for example, in football, that are very, very touchy, okay? Now, for example, if we happen to talk about the issue of religion, specifically Islam, okay?
Yeah. That's
something that is very, very touchy. And I'm talking about amongst people of the Islamic faith, much less everybody else.
Well, you look at in football with Papi Cisse and the Wonga thing at Newcastle.
That too.
We've seen religion and football mix. We've got a pitch talk. I think it's a push point. Religion and football. Should religion and football mix?
Yeah. So, you know, there's lots of things that are very, very touchy. And this is one of them, right? To the point where I'm surprised that, for example, a director of finance hasn't turned around and said, well, listen, if you happen to go through with this, right, you know, our sponsors are not going to be particularly happy, okay? So we're going to lose this sponsor, that sponsor. It's going to be very difficult for us to get any other sponsors, which means it's going to be very difficult for us to run the club. Therefore, financially speaking, this is not something that you can afford to do. Yeah. And then, of course, there's the PR department where I'm saying, well, how can the PR department not learn from something like, and I'm not saying it's anywhere near similar, but how can they not learn from something like the John Terry incident, right? Or the Luis Suarez incident.
Or something like, say, Lee Hughes.
Or Lee Hughes.
You got to remember that. I swear, that dude killed someone, didn't he?
So it's like...
We've seen worse let back into the game, but I think the game, we said before, football needs to clean up its act.
Yeah. And it has to start
somewhere. And it has to start somewhere. That's where I was going with it.
It has to start somewhere. But, you know, my thing is this. How the PR department haven't come back and said, understand, right? If the likes of John Terry and Luis Suarez had all of the furore that they had, what do you think is going to happen here, right? Exactly. So they haven't, you know, I don't know who's advising these clubs from a PR and financial perspective, because obviously, you know, when you go and look at the trouble that's caused, it's not worth it.
Yeah,
it's really not. Yes, he's out of contract. Yes, he's got a goal scoring record, so on and so forth. Are you really trying to tell me that you can't go and give the same opportunity to one of your players in the youth academy? Or you can't go and find a player on the loan market?
Yeah.
Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No, exactly.
So, you know, if you really want to go and embark on that journey, then, you know, as we say, you have to be prepared to take all of the backlash that's going to come with it, right? And I found that to be a particularly interesting statement, because up until the backlash got pretty bad, they were prepared. When it got bad, it was like, no.
Of course,
anymore.
yeah.
So, you know, I think there's lessons to be learned from everybody from this, you know, in that. Clubs, listen, if you're going to go and make a statement to say that you're going to go and happen to back a decision like that, you actually have to back it. Okay? And in terms of anybody who happens to be involved in the game of football that happens to be convicted of any offence, right? You know, there's going to be things that you're going to have to do even after you release from prison in terms of repairing your public image before you can, you know, go and get a chance to reintegrate with football.
So you think there should be rules in place that say, right, you've got to do, say, some community work for a year, or something like that. You've got to do some sort of community, some sort of, in inverted commas, community service before you can come back to the game, because we need to make sure you are fully rehabilitated before you are let back into the game, rather than letting someone walk straight out of jail onto the football pitch, like, say, Jermaine Pennant when he was wearing electronic tag when he was at Birmingham.
Yeah. No, I personally wouldn't go for hard and fast rules, because I think each individual case needs to be handled in a very specific way, and dealt with individually. But having said that, I also think that, you know, the individuals involved and the clubs involved, the PFA, the FA, they all have to look at the situation and say, well, look, you know, one, is this person sincere about wanting to return to the game? Are they apologetic for what they've done? You know, and number three, are we willing to pay the price of supporting this person in an effort to return to the game? Now, if they're willing to pay the price, then fair enough. If he's willing to do the work, then fair enough. But understand that there is a lot of work involved in this. In that, as you said, the way really to go about it, clear your name. If you feel you're innocent, clear your name. If you've been guilty, understand that you've made a mistake, and then do everything you can to amend that. So if that means, as I say, you have to take some time out for a little while from the game, or work as an ambassador on behalf of the game to raise awareness of the issues that you were involved in, then do that. If you have to go and make a few public apologies, do that. If you happen to be the poster child of a new campaign that helps to stamp out the things that you're so remorseful for, then let's do that. But as you said, in terms of wanting to go straight back into football, we have to understand that with situations like these, there are things that are much bigger than football, i.e. life, right? And I think that in order for a lot of people to happen to want to reintegrate you, you have to show that remorse on a public scale. It's not just as simple for a lot of people as, okay, you've gone to jail and you've done a term and you've come back out again and all is forgiven. For a lot of people in real life, it doesn't work that way.
Of course not.
So,
and rape is one of those issues where it is seen as such, and it is not even it's seen as, it is such a brutal crime. I mean, if you boil down rape to its very rudiments, you're basically forcing entry on someone without their consent.
Yeah.
Which is what rape boils down to, and it's usually male-female, but it can be male-male as well.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, you are literally forcing yourself upon someone in a sexual manner and basically violating someone.
Yeah.
So I can see why it is seen as such a brutal crime,
and why
it is so emotionally distressing, and it's such a thorny issue. And the fact of the matter is, I mean, a lot of people have come out and said, no, I will not support this. I will withdraw my support from the club, and fair dues. Jessica Ennis-Hill, fair dues.
Yeah. And
fair dues.
This is what I mean.
You got to bear in mind, she's a mother as well.
Yeah.
So,
and as I say, you have to bear it, from a PR perspective, this is the thing that I was talking about. How the PR department the media departments haven't decided to, get involved in these issues and point out the fact that, look, some of our biggest patrons as a club are looking to, withdraw their support permanently. And with that, there's a lot of money. With that, there's a lot of prestige. There's a lot of support that just walks away overnight. Are you willing to throw that away? That is the question that they have to ask.
You're saying about paying the price.
This is it.
In terms of, it's not just going to cost clubs bad PR.
No.
It is going to cost clubs financially and potentially their existence.
This is it. To the point where, if all
one toxic individual, if you'll pardon the phraseology again, it's a case of could poison a number of clubs.
Well, this is the thing, in that now, right, you have to look at all of the clubs that were quote unquote interested in signing them and look at them slightly differently, right? Because you're saying to yourself, well, again, what were the clubs going to do? How are they going to support him? Does he go straight into the starting lineup? Does he play games with reserve? What does he actually do once he signs?
But it's just a message that letting a rapist back into the game sends out, but also someone like murderers.
Yeah. Because the other thing that
you look at the Lee Hughes situation back in the day. You look at the situations that Joey Barton's been involved in.
Yeah, no, because that was the other thing that I was going to say.
Stubbing out a cigarette in a youth player's eye, Bridget. That's assault.
Well, this is the other thing that I was going to say.
That's not the only time he's done. He's assault, is it?
The football's let back so many other people that have been convicted of criminal offences. Is it particular? This is the other side of the argument for me personally. Is it particularly fair that Ched Evans happens to get all of this? To me personally, no, it's not. Right, and I'd use the example of Joey Barton, who you named, as someone who's been involved in multiple incidents. Is that he's co-hosting as an analyst on Match of the Day too.
Yeah, somehow heralded as a role model in this hat. We remember what he was doing to Aguero a couple of seasons ago.
So you have
football's an unscrupulous business. I really don't like it, because you look at what's rife in the game at the moment. We try and accentuate what's positive on a general basis, but look at what's wrong in the game. Corruption is top of the list, and these sorts of issues just basically, I said the Hartlepool manager who was like, he's a talented scorer, and it's like, it seems to me if you've got talent, you can get away with anything, and that's not the message that should be sent out in any sport, endeavor in life or whatever. That should not be the message that's sent out, because it essentially sends out the message that everything and everyone and every business and every sport is amoral. Morals just get switched and twisted based on what people want, based on how much money you can make off someone or something.
Yeah.
Which is not a good way of doing things. It's unscrupulous and I don't like it.
I don't like it at all. But, you know, being serious for a moment, as I say, we have to look at everybody else in the game who's been allowed to be back and who's, you know, had criminal involvement here or there. And this is the thing, if they're allowed to be reintegrated, and I use the example of Joe Barton, if he's allowed to be reintegrated, playing for a Premier League club, okay, appearing on a national staple like Match of the Day 2 as an analyst, right, and he's done what he's done, then does that not mean that everybody else who's happened to be involved in some sort of criminal indiscretion, be they proven guilty in court or otherwise, do they not deserve the same chance if he is sat on that sofa doing what he's doing?
Yeah, if you're gonna give a second chance to one, you have to give a second chance to all, but there have to be stipulations in place in terms of getting that second chance. You can't get that second chance if you are unrepentant about your crime.
So would you say that there has to be hard and fast rules in regards to what should be put in place?
I think so. I think like I was saying earlier, I think it's a case of the powers that be might actually have to say, you know what, you've got to go through some rehabilitation and reintegration and pay a debt to the community. If you want to join a club, you have to do some community work with and at that club before you get anywhere near playing for it.
Fair enough.
That's the way I would see it. And also as a bottom line, you would have to apologize directly to the victim. No hollow apology. Oh, I apologize for the effects. No, you apologize to the person. A full and frank apology. None of this crap written by solicitors and lawyers. I want a proper apology, and you better mean that. Because at the end of the day, otherwise a person could go around unrepentant for their crimes and keep doing it. If someone's unrepentant for a crime, more likely than not, they're going to keep doing it because they think they can get away with it. And even though the guy served his time, yeah, fine, you've served your time. But the fact is, Evans has just been unrepentant, and his apology came 3 months after he was released. And only because of the crap storm that has followed him when he's tried to sign for 2-3 clubs.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I think, you know, the timing of the so-called apology is poor. You know, I think, as you say, you know, look, if he's so determined to turn over a new leaf in his life, not just career, and this is what I mean when we say some things are bigger than football, then yeah, you come out, look, you issue a formal statement where you apologise to the person, you apologise to everybody else, and you happen to set the record straight. You say, look, I'm looking to rebuild my life. I am reformed. I have served my time.
Yep.
Okay, and now I'm looking to get on with a new chapter in my life where I happen to be a productive, progressive, and positive member of society, a reintegrated member of society, as I'd say, has already served his time, paid his penance for what he's done, and is looking now to give more than what he's taken from society.
G-Man, did you want to jump in before we throw it to Skypers?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, you know, just say if he committed the crime, he's guilty, I said, yeah, and he accepted this from beforehand, leaving prison, like you said, coming out saying he's reformed and he wants to get back into the game, blah blah blah. Personally, I'd say there should be no way for him back into the game. There shouldn't be, because it's one of those things. There should be a line to the crime, like at the end of the day.
Well,
and you know,
I'm gonna interrupt, right? And the reason why I'm gonna interrupt, I'm gonna say this, right? There are other people that committed other crimes. I personally use Joe Barton as an example because he's playing for a Premier League club.
There's Lee Hughes as well, who killed someone.
Look, Patrick Kluivert, he killed someone, but at the end of the day, there's there's a difference. There's a difference. All right, you could say that's reckless, dangerous driving. Yeah, it was manslaughter. Yeah, so you could say he didn't intentionally go out there to kill someone. Yeah, it was accidental. You can see where you can reform from that, because that's going to haunt you for the rest of your life. But if you've committed rape, you've gone out there to rape someone. It's not like you've just done it by accident. It never just thought, oh well, you know, it just happened. Yeah, so when I say there's a line between the crime, like I can, right, when you say, oh, a murder's happened, there's cases where you look at it and you can say, okay, you can see that player is repentant in what he's done. There, you can see that player what didn't actually go out there to commit that crime. Do you agree? Not agree?
I'm gonna say the reason why I disagree, right, is just because, as I say, we've already seen that other persons involved in football that have done different crimes. Okay, now I'm not one to go and rate crimes in terms of heinousness, because that's for the law, right? I'm not a lawyer, but at the end of the day, right, if those people can come back, and as I say, I use Joey Barton as an example because he plays for a Premier League club. Okay, and as of yesterday was on Match of the Day too.
No,
on the sofa. No, look, I'm not saying that he's not reformed and he hasn't served his time and he hasn't apologized. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that if he's gone and done what he's done, went to jail, all the rest of it, come back and he's there, okay, where is the big massive difference between him and Ted Evans in that, right? And I'm not saying that to go and offend anybody who's affected by the actions of Ted Evans. What I mean by that is, if they've both gone to prison, both served their time, right, both looking to get back in the game, and Joey Barton is at the level where he's playing for a Premier League club, right, and sitting on the sofa, or should I say in a chair, for Match of the Day too, then either the same rule applies for everybody or nobody gets that shot. It's as simple as that.
Alright, fair enough.
So I always say punish uniformly and then the draconian.
But also,
fashion.
Time's moved on. That happened in the past. You can, like you say,
but then
you can't change the past, but you can change the future.
Which is true.
Is that something that you always say?
Which is true, especially for Ibis. But my issue is this, right? Is by that same token, is not what Ted Evans done also in the past. Is he also not trying to change the future? So my answers to those things are yes.
Well, he's trying to continue. He's trying to continue a well-paid career.
I was gonna say,
there is
because of how late the apology. Part of this is how late the apology was. I mean, if the appeal turns out that Evans was innocent all along, okay, you know what? Fine. It'd be like, all right, fine. He can come back into the game, but at the end of the day, because of the way this has been so badly handled, he might have already burnt his bridges. I think he's already burnt his bridges by trying to rush a process that is not a quick process.
No, I agree with you, but at the same time, and I stand by this, right? If you have other people who've also been convicted of other crimes who are now fully back integrated in the game, right? One of those being Jermaine Pennant, one of those being Joey Barton. Is just two examples for me to throw out there, right? Then either you say, well, look, we made a mistake, you can't have to play. And I think Marlon King's also part of that as well. If you happen to play, then look, we made a mistake. Everybody has to come back out now.
But I think one of the things,
have a new rule starting from now, where it's like, listen.
But I think the nature of the crime has a lot to do with it. Like I said earlier, rape is a very brutal crime. It's not only seen as that, it is because of the effects and because of what's involved in it. I don't even want.
But then at the same time, I also say to you,
and that plays a part.
We were talking about manslaughter. So I said, look, is manslaughter not brutal?
See, but the thing is, accidentally killing someone and raping someone, it's kind of. They do elicit two different emotions.
I understand. I understand
where I'm going with it.
That the difference is intent. I do respect that, right? But in the case of somebody dying, okay, that person in terms of physical form, they're gone and they're not going to come back.
Of course.
And the people involved happen to be, whether you want to look at the degrees of responsibility, they're still responsible.
Of course.
Right? So that versus where a person may survive, but in a totally different state. And that's what we're talking about, surviving in a totally different state. Now, I don't want to...
But it's easier to forgive. It seems like it's easier to forgive an accident.
I don't want to demean the crime of rape in any kind of way.
Of course.
But at the same way, right, I'm saying a crime where someone also happens to die. Right? If we're happening to forgive that and those people are allowed to be back in football, and we're talking about one of those people being what, an assistant coach for the Dutch national team?
Yeah.
You want to tell me that that's okay for him to be at that position? But you know, somebody else with another conviction, or they can't happen to even play again professionally.
But that's what I'm saying. It kind of depends on the conviction, on what the crime was. That's where it starts to get into swinging in those grey areas.
Well, you know, I wasn't really thinking to go and bring up Junior Malanda again, and I hope that he does rest in peace. But you know, the whole ins and outs of that, I don't think have been confirmed yet either. But let's just say, for example, that unfortunately it was a case of manslaughter in regards to the crash that he was in. Now, are you trying to tell me that the person's responsible for that they should be allowed to be reintegrated into society?
See, there's stipulations with that. If it's drunk driving, potentially not.
And this
if it was a legitimate accident, that's what I'm saying.
That's why I say that these cases need to be dealt with on an individual basis. But at the same time, I'm also saying, well, look, if we happen to give chances to all these other people, where they happen to be reintegrated to a point, and I use Joey Barton because he's the pinnacle of my example, right? Where he happens to play for top flight clubs, not just in England but also in France when he went on loan. Okay, then he comes back, he's doing media work for the BBC on Match of the Day 2. If he's able to get to that level, okay, based on what he was doing and what he has done previously, and I'm not saying he can't be forgiven for that, I'm not saying he can't make amends for what he's done, because anything is possible, right? I'm also saying that the same rules, the same criticism should be applied to Ched Evans.
I heard that.
As you say, punish uniformly in a draconian fashion. So, unless we're doing that, then what are we doing? We can't really have a sliding scale here.
You know what? I'm going to throw this out to the Skypers, actually, because the Skypers actually have been waiting. Mike Harniman, your view on this?
Yeah, well, it's been touched on already, but I think I'm agreeing with you, Liam. I think he's got to do something to re-earn the trust of people. Like, if he's actually... his name's clean, he comes out innocent from the whole situation, then he needs to do something to give back to the game before he can get into a club for me. I think because at the moment he can like, you know, you've seen it with what's come out on the BBC website about the League 1 and League 2 teams, the amount of clubs there that have said, you know, we're not interested. Peterborough, for example, was just one that I saw who basically said we're 100% not going to take him, not now, not ever. And where the process could take years, I kind of think where he knows he's guilty, or like that's in the back of my mind. I think he's got a feeling that he knows that something's going to come out where he's guilty, so he's going to kind of get out now and try and find the club now while he can, if you know what I mean.
Oh well, wow! So similar to what Barcelona did before the decision of their appeal came out, and obviously it was a negative decision because they've got a transfer ban for the next 2 windows. So you're saying that Ched Evans could potentially be finding a club whilst the appeal process is going on and thinking, you know what, I'm going to play and make all the money I can until this appeal process is done, so that if it doesn't work in my favour, hey, at least I got back into the game, albeit briefly. Is that where you're going with it?
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that could potentially be the way that he's thinking.
That's not a bad shout. I mean, guys, do you agree with it? I think that's not a bad shout from Mike Harniman.
Well, the thing about it is that obviously this appeal process is a window of time. Now, can he go and make a living in that period of time? Of course.
35 weeks, yeah.
Of course. Now, we look at Barcelona, as you say, and I think that's quite an interesting comparison in that, you know...
Well, they did their business during the appeal process.
This is what I mean.
They did some significant business.
That's what I mean.
Me as a Liverpool supporter know that firsthand.
So I'm saying this, if they're able to do that during an appeal process, and I know we're talking about 2 very different appeals, but if they're able to do that, and as I say, Ched Evans is able to go and rack up 35 weeks at, I don't know, let's say maybe 10 grand or something a week, or 20 grand, whatever it is. Listen, that's a lot more money than what most people see in a lifetime. So for him to go and be able to do that, be able to sit on that, and then, you know, whatever else happens after that, in terms of a pure business discussion now, talk about purely financial, is that a particularly bad move?
It suits Ched.
No, not at all.
It suits Ched. But Mike Harniman, did you want to continue?
Yeah, basically, the way that I've come across it is it's only competitive games as well. So it could actually come out where he has a trial with these clubs and they actually offer him pre-season friendlies and stuff, and he's still able to play, and that could cause a lot of trouble as well. That could cause trouble for the family. That could cause trouble for the club itself. That could cause a lot of trouble in the long run as well. Just looking at it like that.
Well, it reminds me of what I was saying when I was talking about, in terms of the meetings with the board, right? I'm like, how the director of finance hasn't sat down and said, listen, this is going to cost us a lot of money in terms of sponsorship, in terms of people that's going to buy season tickets, match day tickets, all of that stuff is going to cost us money. And how the PR and media department haven't said, well, listen, we are literally digging ourselves a very big hole that's going to be very difficult.
Digging a grave with a fork and spoon.
Very difficult for us to get out of once we get into this. In the sense of, as I say, if we want to use comparisons of similar stories that happen to go and grab a lot of headlines, right? This, is such a strong and thought-provoking and a emotive topic, right? How are we going to survive this in terms of our public image? To the point where at this present juncture in time, do you survive something like this? No, you don't. To the point where you look at what Oldham did. They said, yeah, we'll sign him.
And then the backlash came, and it's like, no.
We will ride out any storm that comes against us, because no weapon formed against us shall prosper. In this particular instance, we are going to take what we have to take in order to sign the player. And then when it comes to the crunch and they happen to see that all of their sponsors are like, yeah, no, they're not going to support you. When their patriarchs are like, no, listen, we don't want anything to do with this. Money talks, as they say, and the other stuff happens to walk. That's what the saying says.
Money's talking.
And right about now, money seems to be talking very, very loudly, because the club says, no, can't sign him. They might say we have no regrets about looking into it.
Unscrupulous business.
I'm saying this in terms of what they've already lost, in terms of their own supporters that they've already lost.
Yeah. They've harmed their image to their own supporters, their patrons, their sponsors, and they didn't even sign him. Didn't even sign him. That's the thing.
Right? To the point where now, going forward, I says, well, we're talking about new sponsorship deals. Listen, the sponsors that you currently have aren't going to pay you.
It's like, you were the club linked to, you were the club who wanted to buy. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
To the point where the current sponsors will argue, listen, we don't actually have to need to pay you that much more money anymore. As a matter of fact, we're going to cut that down a little bit.
But we don't like the way you handled that situation. I don't think we can sort this anymore.
Is that as well? So, in terms of the financial impact, social impact, it's huge. It's huge. And as I say, you have to be willing to pay the price. Now, were they really willing to pay the price? No, I don't think so.
No, they weren't. They showed they were.
They didn't back it. So it's as simple as
Oldham
that.
showed it.
And I think any other club who's involved or potentially involved, and even Ched Evans himself, he has to look at it and say, well, look, right about now, this is the same anger around my neck. Okay, this is my albatross.
I like that Metallica reference there.
All right, this is the albatross as well. Okay, so I'm going to be carrying this. See if we deal with this or we don't deal with this. And right about now, as I say, me personally, I'm looking at the FA, the PFA, and I'm saying, well, what are they doing to intervene in this situation? Okay.
But that's it. Gordon Taylor of the PFA always picks, in those situations, he always tries to pick his spots. That's what annoys me about him. He always comes out and starts talking smack about certain situations at certain times, but he's not the constant voice that he really should be, considering the role he keeps. That's what annoyed. That's why I'm not a fan of Gordon Taylor, on a personal note. And this is the view of straight shooting LJA. Jaymie Bailey, you wanted to jump into this quickly before we have to move on.
Evening, Mr. Bailey.
Evening. I did say that there won't be much time for us, but just have to see.
Well, let's roll. Well, what's the point you wanted to mention, man? Because we got to move on soon.
I'm going to say more about the reaction than anything else. I think people need to be more common central. I'm sorry. I'm not saying that this is all a good thing at all. I'm not saying that rape is a good thing. I'm not saying anything like that. But when you're starting to send death threats and things to clubs and families and members, officials.
Yeah, that's not on.
That's too far.
Yeah, that is not on at all.
And that's where I'm coming from. And I'm not really going on this hype about what's going on with Ched Evans. Everybody else can do that. I don't really care. I don't really care, to be honest with you. I've got my own stuff to deal with. But the fact that everybody's going out their way just to send a tweet or send a message to club officials speaking about how they're going to kill family if they sign Ched Evans. They said it to Sheffield United. They've said it to all the clubs that have been involved in this. And you're thinking, hold on, how are you any better than him? How does that make you any better than him?
That's a valid point.
Not a bad shout, yeah.
So the way that I'm seeing it is most people are really in the wrong. Everybody's got their opinion, and messages and tweets and Facebook and everything you can seem to do it via those places and probably not get caught for it because nobody really looks into them. But as far as I'm concerned, it's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. You're just basically saying to somebody, yeah, you can say whatever you want, and because he's committed a crime, you can judge him based on the crime alone, rather than wondering what you should be doing in your own life.
But you know what? There's an interesting point that Mike Harniman has just put in the Skype chat about they're not doing anything, offering him out to clubs to try and get him a club. They're taking sides before they know the full story, whether he's guilty or not, in regards to the FA. That's an interesting one in terms of what you just said, Jaymie.
Yeah.
That point from Mike Harniman ties
They've been doing
into
that since he came out. If you think about it, before as soon as he was not even before he was convicted, as soon as it came up in I think it was 2012 or 20.
Well, it happened in 2011. He got convicted and jailed in 2012.
Yeah, so it happened in 2011. If you look at it, most of the time, as you said, the parasitic media, you've been using that word quite a bit.
Yes, I've had a lot of reason to over the years.
Yeah, the parasitic media put it out there for everybody to go and read, and as soon as they've gone and done that, they've given everybody a chance just to go, yeah, he's guilty. End of. We don't really care what goes on. He's guilty.
Yeah, but of course, a lot of people are lazy and don't look at both sides of the issue, which is why we're discussing it at length today. We're trying to look at different angles to it, and not just the parasitic media hyperbole, sensationalism, overhype, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's hyped for that reason, and what most people have gone and done is literally what I've just said.
We've made a judgment based on hype. Yeah.
Yeah, they've gone and said, oh, what did he do? Okay, let's get rid of him. End of. Not even just to check what happened. Not even to check the results. Check the score analysis. No, he's guilty. End of.
But as said, you got. But then we live in a quick and easy. I've said this on a couple of occasions. Partly in relation to Islamophobia, most recently, which is a parasitic media construct in my view. But that's a different story. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of in this day and age, information is so easy to get hold of, but people are so lazy that they don't want to do their own research. That is the major problem. That is the major problem within it. And as said, there's a lot of hyperbole, a lot of sensationalism. Sometimes the right questions are not asked, which is why we're talking about it now, which is why we talked about it about a month or two ago as well. The fact of the matter is, sometimes the right questions are not asked, and instead of solutions, people are just saying, nah, just get rid. Instead, it's like similar to what Jose Mourinho said recently about the if our academy ain't working, just get rid of it and spend the money on transfers. And it's like, no, what an idiotic statement to come out with.
But
not at all in my view. But the fact of the matter is, you don't just cut something off. You look at why it's not working and you try and remedy it. And if it can't be remedied, the last resort is to cut something off. Now with this Ched Evans thing, as we've been discussing with crimes and stuff like that, it's a case of you rehabilitate, you try and help. But at the end of the day, you don't just cut people off straight away, or otherwise we may as well just go back to the dark ages and bring back the death penalty. As soon as you commit a crime, done, cut your head off. You may as well, it's an extreme example, I know, and that's not an OWR to the old ECW, but the fact of the matter is, you may as well kind of go that way.
Well, one thing I've got to ask here, just say again, if Ched Evans is a rapist, yeah?
Yeah.
If he is.
Yeah. If the appeal fails, yeah.
Yeah, he's been convicted already. Yeah, so
Yeah.
so
And
he
served time.
is guilty before innocent in
Yeah.
this case. So if he is convicted as being a rapist, yeah, what happens next? Do you keep him in the game because you don't want to cut him off, because you don't want to cut strings, you don't want to be looking like you're in the dark ages, or does he deserve the privilege to basically, get babied back into football, potentially being put into scenarios where he could relive that whole situation once again, because he'll be around girls that will be chasing him that are, fickle because they're just after the money, blah blah blah, go clubbing, blah blah blah, be in that sort of situation, be
And
around
the reputation of preceding.
being around young footballers who might not know no difference, might see he's got I don't know. Some people do pick up rep of people doing bad things, so they might look up to him in an indifferent way.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, and could he potentially be someone like that? Yeah, could they potentially be a cancer that within football that's just there, fermenting like?
It all depends, because if Evans was to end up being found, the appeal was to fail, and his conviction was upheld, because he's already served the time. But if the conviction was to be upheld, then you would have to look at trying to rehabilitate him. But unfortunately, you would have to look at the bridges that he's already burned, and you would think, no, he's probably not going to get back into the game. That's where I would look at it. Jaymie, you want to jump in as well then before we move on?
Yeah, the reason why I wanted to reply is because I believe that there is a solution just to get somebody back into football. He's done rape. He's been convicted of rape. Okay, cool. It's not a good crime, but until you know the facts.
What is a good crime?
Until you look at the Luis Suarez, like you did, Liam, you read pretty much every page of the Luis Suarez.
70 plus pages of the 115-page report. But yeah.
Right, exactly. So until you actually know the facts yourself, or you were actually present, you can't say that he raped anybody. But yeah, everybody's gonna go and do that.
But the fact of the matter is,
there is him being convicted
and jailed.
Then,
there is that.
If he is convicted on appeal, then you can say, all right, maybe we have to look at the scenario and whether we should allow him to go back to football at a professional
that's
level.
the point.
I wouldn't even say that's a maybe. I'd say you'd have to.
Nah, you have to think about whether he can actually go back to football at a professional level, because maybe he can actually go and coach, or maybe he can go and learn something throughout the game. Maybe he can go to do a couple of courses, or maybe he can along the lines of that. Yeah, he can go back to playing football at a high level, but he's gonna have to work his way back up. That's how I'm seeing it, and that's the reason why I'm saying if you're gonna baby him, as you've used, G-Man, it's not babying. I don't think it's called babying. It's just a case of, has he got the determination just to actually turn up and do the things that he wants to do in order to go back to that level?
Well,
if he doesn't,
that's rehabilitation.
You'd have to register every time, on the sex register. There'll be certain things that he won't be able to do because obviously he's on the sex register. Exactly. People will be following him. He would be baby. He would be baby. Would you put a school teacher, who has raped a child, come out of prison, rehabilitate? Would you put him back into a school? No, you wouldn't. That's how I see it.
I'm not a head teacher, so I'm not really going to answer that question.
No, but you asked us a question. We asked you.
I understand the point, and I think the G-Man raises a very interesting issue in that I think, in comparison to everything else in society, I think we have to look at it the same way and use the same rules. So, as you said with your school teacher example, if a school teacher that's convicted of rape,
not a bad example,
isn't necessarily going to be allowed to be reintegrated, then why should he? But my whole counteractive argument to all of that is we've already had other people with other convictions already back in the game and already at higher levels. So if they're already allowed in, what's the difference? That's the question that I ask as the counterbalance. Now, do I necessarily support that? Absolutely not.
Yeah. But you know what? Just to wrap up this point, because time has kind of flown. Just to wrap up, it is a case of, we've said for a number of years now that football has to clean up his act, and it has to start somewhere.
Yes.
For me, that's the bottom line here, and football has a chance to do it. It may be at Ched Evans' expense, but sometimes sacrifices have to be made, and we'll have to leave it there. But you know what? We are going to go into a quick pause for the cause, as some of the old radio DJs used to say. But we are going to go into just a few breaks, little ad break. But we will be right back to round out the show in a few minutes. Jazzy, is there something you wanted to say before we jump into the break?
Yeah, no, just to say thank you. Yeah, no. Anyway, just to say thank you to absolutely everybody that's been a part of today's show. Thank you to everybody who happens to download the podcast as well. Everybody who happens to share it with a friend, who happens to share it with another friend, who happens to join the footballing revolution we're working so hard to create. I want to say thank you to all of our Skypers that have been part of our great debates this evening. And I also want to say, you know what? Thank you very much. I'll see you next week.
All good. You know what? As said, we are going to roll into a quick ad break. We will be right back. We will see you in a few minutes. See you in a few minutes. Oh, there's a botch. There's a botch there already. I love it. No. As I said, we will see you and everybody in a couple of minutes. Oh, wait, where we going now? Where we going? Sorry. Oh, it's been live. You know what? It's been we've had tech difficulties, so we ended up starting late. So it's a bit of a mad one. It is a bit of a mad one, but yeah. This is why you just can't beat. This is why you just cannot beat live. You know what? It is showtime at the Apollo. We'll see you guys in a minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, Pitch Talk proudly presents a full sit-down interview with the current chairman of Alexandra Park FC, director of student development at a secondary school, has played for APFC for 9 years and seen the club rise and help the SAL with their sponsorship. To ask Dave a question, email pitchtalk@gmail.com with Dave McLaughlin in the subject line. Pitch Talk meets Dave McLaughlin, coming soon.
The football talk show that holds back nothing on opinions.
Straight shooting LJA.
Hi, I'm John Sitton.
Grassroots coach Manisha Taylor.
Hello, I'm Rob Perez.
The G-Man.
Samira Sonic, Motivate Sports and Fitness.
Christian Carambeu.
Matt Hodgson, director of the 4-year plan.
We the people, for the people. Jazzy Fizzle.
Your Monday night footballing fix.
Make sure you join the revolution.
The pitch is where we eat.
The pitch is where we sleep.
And the pitch is where we talk. Each and every Monday night of your lives.
At youtube.com/pitch talk.
For podcast links and information, check out our official website www.pitch-talk.com. Your Monday night footballing fix, Pitch Talk, is brought to you by and in association with.
Facilities are provided for your Monday night footballing fix by In Situ. Create, engage and inspire by visiting insitu.co.
Simply Exclusive Entertainment. If you need a party or rave filmed, go to sxemedia.com for more information.
Apparently Rich. Simple yet effective web solutions to help get your company off the ground. Visit apparentlyrich.com for more information. And LJA Productions, the new blood in digital video. If you need a video filmed and or edited, check out ljaproductions.co.uk. LJA Productions, the new blood in digital video, offering video production services such as video editing, video encoding for the web including YouTube and Vimeo, audio recording, filming of interviews, promos, live events, and much more. Get in touch at www.ljaproductions.co.uk or twitter.com/LJA Productions and let the new blood in digital video promote you. Pitch Talk is brought to you by and in association with
The one-stop shop for all your coaching needs, Motivate Sports and Fitness. Check out motivatesportsandfitness.com for more information.
the new football culture magazine Thin White Line. Check out thinwhitelinemagazine.com for more information.
Storm FM with new hot releases played daily. Feel the boom at stormfm.net.
Two girls with their bunny Scotty trying to cover as much women's football as they can. Girls on the Ball. Check out girlsontheball.com for more information.
Hello, I'm Rob Perez.
Grassroots coach Manisha Taylor.
Christian Carambeu.
Matt Hodgson, Director of the 4-Year Plan.
Dave McLaughlin.
I'm Rob Lusher.
Andy Copeland from the Glennet Southern Amateur League.
Philip Wick, I'm CEO of 14.
Former Chairman of Ibis FC.
Chairman of Alexandra Park FC.
And you're listening. And you're listening
to Pitch Talk.
The only place to get your Monday night footballing fix.
Because the pitch is where we eat.
The pitch is where we sleep.
And the pitch is where we talk. Make sure you join the revolution, the football revolution.
What's up with that?
Yeah. You what? Yeah, it is. We are your Monday Night Footballing Fix, baby, in the home straight of the show. And you know what? One of the odd things from this week, Darragh McAntony, Peterborough Chief in player rant. This is from the 10th of January 2015. Peterborough Chairman Darragh McAntony has criticised his players on social media following Saturday's 2-0 defeat by Colchester. The Irishman gave 11 reasons why his players had annoyed him during the loss, which left Posh 11th in League One. Like all our fans and our manager, there are many things I have to hump with after today. Care to know them all? He asked before listing his gripes. The self-made millionaire singled out a number of players in his post. McAntony, who became Peterborough chairman 8 years ago, finished with a message to any players who had taken offence. Oh, and finally, he said, if any of my players are a bit too sensitive to what's been said, feel free to let me know anytime. Or alternatively, just do your job. But he actually said, from his Twitter, @DMac102, he said, as for people saying you shouldn't tweet etc as it's not becoming of a chairman, I live in the 21st century, maybe others should do the same. McAntony once described himself as a rebel who wants to change things in football. So the list of grievances were that it's always the manager who is held responsible when a team of players fold like a stack of cards when the going gets tough, that our team can play with that kind of tempo intensity for the first 25 minutes, then follow that up with the 65 minutes we all witnessed, that a player of Joe Newell's ability can miss an open goal from 5 yards out early on. He should be scoring 10 to 15 a season. That a striker I paid $500,000 for, minutes before Colchester score, scuffs a great chance 8 yards out with nobody near him. That bossy midfielder Michael Bostwick allows their top scorer to get in front of him to tap in their first goal. Shouldn't happen. That our centre-back runs 50 yards to the edge of the opposition's box, doesn't pass or shoot, but loses the ball when they go other end and score. That both our fullbacks, who had plenty of the ball, couldn't deliver any crosses of any merit or quality with urgency. That we had a ref who cost us the Crew game because of incorrect decisions was given us again, then sent the manager off in many yellows today. That, as the going has got tough, many thousands of fans, a bit like our players, have folded and taken their ball and gone home. Sounds like The Rock in 2002 with Steve Austin. You can take your ball and go home. Tomorrow, I'll still pay the bills, and next Saturday, we'll pay thousands to watch my team play and hopefully win. And finally, that our goalkeeper, Ben Alnick, had 3 shots to save all game, but we conceded 2 goals. Now, you know what, yeah? I think an interesting point was actually brought up here in terms of it's not becoming of a chairman to be tweeting out his grievances. But you know what? The fact of the matter is, this is the kind of stuff that should be kept behind closed doors. If you've got grievances with your players, if you've got grievances with the way they play, with the way they're playing, don't air that in public, because you're just inviting ridicule, and also you're inviting the rating of
-5 stars. -5 stars.
And you also get people like us asking and thinking, actually,
I don't know what the hell's going on here. Wait a minute. But I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
So it's one of them ones. I just think it's a very weird thing to do. And naming and shaming, I said, yeah, it's just something that I think should be done behind closed doors. I mean, if the Skypers want to jump in, let us know. But the fact that, but as I said, I think it's a case of, I think McAntony definitely, he should have kept that behind closed doors. I mean, Mike Harniman, what's your view?
Yeah, I've just sent him a tweet myself, to be honest, just saying if he's not happy with Boswick's performances, we'll happily have him back down at Stevenage. So, that's one less thing to moan about.
But I mean, what do you think of McAntony's comments? And should he have done them? I think they were ill-advised, personally.
I think they are as well. I think it's kind of what you're saying, really. Kind of keep it in-house and deal with it, in-house and sort of do it that way. There's no need. There's not really any need at all to actually, put all that out onto Twitter and just take a public blame for, put all the blame straight onto everyone else. It's kind of like, well, I'm not there. I'm in America. Can't see what you're doing, but I'm going to criticise you anyway.
I mean, Jaymie Bailey, you wanted to come in as well?
Yeah, I'm gonna do the opposite to what you lot are saying. 1, he pays them. 2, he's brought them in with the help of a director of football, and I'm pretty sure there is one at Peterborough United and Darren Ferguson.
You're not gonna do 11 points, are you? Like McAntony.
Say that again.
You're not gonna do 11 points like McAntony, are you?
No.
I'm kidding.
I should do, but no.
No,
I'm not gonna. The reason why I say that is because if you look at it, he's got every right to go onto Twitter. No, everybody talks about the parasitic media. 1, he owns a club. 2, he pays them. 3, they should be performing a bit above standards as they have been doing, and all of a sudden they're not. And number 4, well, Twitter's there for him just to do so. Apparently, it's an open forum for anybody to say what they want. So therefore, why not?
I'm not saying he shouldn't be on Twitter and shouldn't tweet, but this is the kind of stuff that needs to be handled behind closed doors, I think.
Yeah, it should be, but this is the thing. Twitter, Facebook, all of that is there for that reason. So therefore...
But you don't need to air all your business out to the world, though. You don't need to.
You shouldn't. No, that's the thing. You shouldn't. But it's there. It's pretty much there for that reason. If somebody wants to promote something that should really be kept in-house, they do. Anybody wants to talk about how they feel about Ched Evans and his situation, they put it on Twitter. Anybody want to talk about how Peterborough did on Saturday, they put it on Twitter. Anybody want to talk about how Arsenal did on Sunday, they put it on Twitter. That's just how it is.
Yeah, but
It's
in
a-
theory,
it's a-
yeah,
it's
but you
based down
should,
to a
yeah, but you shouldn't do it because at the end of the day, you look at say the suggestion or the sheer notion, the very notion of driving with your feet. It's one of them ones you can do it, but it doesn't mean you should.
Yeah, but that's down to common sense then.
Yeah, but it's common sense to keep your business, to keep your dirty laundry behind closed doors as well.
I said, yeah, I had a question for you tonight as well about Liverpool. Didn't really get to ask it on the show, but obviously it's there in the chat.
Well, let's go for it now. Let's go for it now. What was that question before we move on then?
All right, the question was I believe, and I've been having a few conversations with my cousin who supports Liverpool as well, and I'm starting to think, yeah, Liverpool are probably not exceeding to expectations of last year, but I feel myself, in my opinion, and this is a question more to you rather than an opinion. Are they being asked too much too soon in their career? It's almost like, for me, you're asking the same thing that you had with Michael Owen. At 16, he was the best. All of a sudden, by the time he got to 24, he's leaving to go to Real Madrid and he's sitting on the bench, even though he's the top scorer at the club.
And he had hamstrings of a 90-year-old and was a super sub. But it's one. Fact
That's what I'm saying.
Fact is, on a general basis in football, and I've said this in numerous places. On a general basis in football, fans need to not put all the pressure in the world on young players. Let young players develop. That's the important thing for me. Is a lot being asked of guys like Henderson and Sterling? Henderson, I think, is at the right age to be looked upon as the future of the club. He's 22-ish. So it's one of them ones. I think he's at the right age to be looked upon. You know what? You could potentially be a captain for a decade in that regard. But putting all of the expectations of a side onto one person is not good anyway. No matter how old you are. Putting all of those expectations on the one person is not good. Now, doing it to putting all those expectations onto a 19-year-old, as some do with Raheem Sterling, it's not good. And I don't agree with it. As said, you can hamper a young player's development by putting the weight of the world on their shoulders instead of letting them express themselves, play, make their mistakes, and learn from it. If you're criticizing everything they do, look at Saido Berahino. For some moronic reason that I will never understand, people were criticizing him for showing respect and actually not celebrating versus Gateshead with his 4 goals. I think he was showing respect to Gateshead and not rubbing it in. So at the end of the day, to criticize him for not celebrating is stupid in the max. But as I've said before, a lot of football fans are short-termist, and not just short-termist, but very quick to judge without actually looking at the facts and doing research, like we said earlier.
It's along the lines of the same thing with Ramsey, but it's just coming back to the whole thing. This is the reason why I say it's open to interpretation. Because now that I've got your rebuttal of the question, the reply from my question, I still believe, even with that situation, you're going to get a whole bunch of people saying, "Oh, they're not even going to have a reason just to say why." I reckon they're just going to say, "Nah, he's rubbish. Nah, he's rubbish.
Of course,
get rid of him." Blah blah blah.
But as said, some fans are quick to judge based on 1 or 2 bad games. Look at what we discussed last week about Pardew going to Palace. I stand by what I say in terms of Newcastle losing Pardew was their own fault. After that whole Pardew out thing, after the first 6, 7, 8 games of the season, where Newcastle weren't doing as well as some fans were expecting, they're calling for the manager's head. Then 4 wins later, it's all changed. Fickle fans. It's one of them ones. Fickle fans are part of what's ruining the game, in my personal opinion.
That's it. Well, now that I've got sort of the rebuttal for that, I'm just looking at it as there's a lot of players that are not able to develop, and obviously me being a coach, I see this all the time. I go to Fulham, and we've now got a system where we want to sign players from the youth and from what we do, which is community coaching, looking for the players that might be good enough just to go out there and say, yep, I reckon you can play for the first team in a few years, or let's just get you into the academy, get you into the system and see what somebody else thinks of you. And instead of looking just to go beyond the borderlines of the UK, we're actually looking into the Surrey area, places like that. Maybe even to Middlesex. We might even just look for you, Liam, to shore up the left side of the fence.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that.
But yeah, just in hindsight, that's what Fulham are doing. Whereas you go to somebody like Chelsea, and they're going across. They've got academies set up in even with Arsenal. They've got academies set up in the US. They've got they've got a link towards South Africa. They've got a link towards.
Well, look at Vitesse Arnhem.
Here in Asia,
Vitesse Arnhem are essentially their feeder club.
They're meant to be a feeder club, but they're not.
They are for all intents and purposes. But we've got to shift on in terms. We've got to shift on in terms of points, though. So, but it's one of them. Was also I just want to say live right now on Mixler, and also on the podcast on iTunes, Mixcloud, Podomatic, Spreaker. I just want to say the break given to Raheem Sterling, I don't agree with it personally, because I don't agree with giving individual players preferential treatment. It ruins team harmony, in my view, if one player is given preferential treatment. I just wanted to say that. But you know what? But what we're going to round out the show with is Inverness Caledonian Thistle trialling a pay what you can for St Johnstone visit. This from January 7th, 2015. Inverness Caledonian Thistle are offering support as a pay what you can deal for the visit of St Johnstone on the 20th of January. League 2 Albion Rovers piloted a similar scheme last season, with increased gate receipts. Inverness are fifth in the Scottish Premiership, averaging home crowds of 3,819 this season. Children under 12 accompanied by a paying adult will get free entry to this month's derby with Ross County. In relative terms, our club is still in its infancy, having just recently passed our 20th season in existence, said Chairman Kenny Cameron. We do not have the supporter base of some of the older clubs, but will continue to work hard with the Highland community and beyond to turn this around. We often hear in the press that games in Scotland are overpriced, and if prices were slashed, the crowds would increase dramatically. Well, this is certainly an opportunity to dip our toes in the water and see if this is really the case. We feel it's certainly worth trying, and if it is successful, we would certainly look at doing it again and then carry it over from what would be a full review of our pricing structures for next season. Now, from the 6th of January, the day before, it's kind of complete opposite kind of thing, actually, because Accrington Stanley sell tickets for virtual Man United FA Cup tie, and it's sold out. Souvenir tickets for an Accrington Stanley FA Cup tie, which will never happen, sold out within 36 hours, the club has confirmed. The League 2 side missed out on hosting Man United in the third round of the FA Cup after losing 2-0 to Yeovil in their second round replay. Despite this, Stanley said they were still producing 250 special edition tickets, which have raised £5,000. Club chairman Peter Marsden said 100 of them were sold to a fan in Brazil. Phil Carruthers, originally from Accrington, moved to Brazil in 1960, where he eventually became managing director of the Copacabana Palace Hotel. A keen football fan all of his life, Mr. Carruthers said he wanted to watch more than 1,000 games at Brazil's Maracanã Stadium. So, club chairman Peter Marsden said the idea for the limited edition tickets was tongue-in-cheek, but the money generated will be used to help manager John Coleman and his assistant Jaymie Bailey strengthen the squad. Thank you to everyone who bought a ticket to the game that never was. To sell out so quickly is no mean achievement. I know it's only £5,000, but it could make all the difference between us to get a player in on loan who can get us to the playoffs, or missing out by a point. Coleman said he hopes Stanley would ultimately get to play the 20-time league winners. Now, for me, one of these is a great idea, and one of these is a mug off. Pay what you can, trial and pay what you can. That's actually not a bad idea, to be honest, because it's on. I mean, you could get people taking legitimate advantage of it, but at the same time, it gives. If you were to do a pay what you can for, say, 5 games a season, then the increased gate receipts you get because of the cheaper prices, if you're good and if you impress those people, you might be able to hang on to that audience. And that's always the important thing for a football club or any venture, really. I mean, from football clubs to pitch talk, the important thing is you want to hang on to your audience. And at the end of the day, I just think it would be very, very interesting to see if more clubs do it and also how it goes as well. So it'd be one of them ones. I quite like that. I actually quite like that as an idea. But Accrington Stanley selling, they say tongue in cheek, selling tickets for a match that will never happen. That's just mugging off the fans to get money off them. In my view, that is a mug off. In my view, that is a legitimate mug off. I mean, G-Man, I don't know what you think about this, but souvenir tickets for an Accrington Stanley FA Cup tie, which will never happen, sold out within 36 hours. They raised $5,000 off it, and it's one of them was they've said that it's tongue in cheek in terms of offering them for sale. But then you got Inverness Caledonian Thistle trialing a pay what you can for the visit of St Johnstone on January 20th. I mean, they're obviously trying to, because they've only been in existence 20 years, they're trying to get their fan base up. Now, I think the Inverness Caledonian Thistle thing is a great idea.
Yeah.
But I think the Accrington Stanley thing is just a mug off. I think it's a mug off. Selling tickets for a match that ain't gonna happen is taking a mickey, and raising $5,000. That's not on. It's like, yeah, we're gonna use. I think what's it? They said they were actually gonna use it to buy players, and it's like, yeah, it could be all the difference between us being able to get a player in on loan who could get us to the playoffs, or missing out by a point. It's like, but if you want to get that player in, sorry, chairman, but pay out of your own pocket. Don't base it. It's basically a scam. It's basically scamming the fans. In my view, it's basically scamming the fans. It's ludicrous. Yeah, you're selling tickets, souvenir tickets for a match that won't happen and hasn't happened. I don't get how that's possible. That's technically fraudulent advertising. Mm-hmm. But if you've got idiots who are actually willing to buy it, then hell, I've always said, yeah, morons shouldn't have money. So it's one of them ones. If people are stupid enough to buy it, then fine. But as I said, the pay what you can thing is a very interesting one, because if you've got something that's usually a paid service and offer it for free for a limited time, it's like doing a trial period. Mm-hmm. If Inverness Caledonian Thistle did it for like 5 games a season, if you're able to retain the increased, some of even 10% of the increased audience that you will get through the pay what you can, then it's done its job.
Yeah, no, you know what? That's innovative. Yeah, because like you said, you know, fans will pay honest fans will pay what they feel they should be paying. Yeah, other fans will pay, what they take advantage. Yeah. And then there'll be some fans that will, pay more because that's what happens. You've seen it with the bootleg. Well, I hate saying it this way in football terms, but the bootleggers with CDs, and they're selling CDs on the streets. Yeah. There's just pal. You got the ones that would be like, have you got $5 for my CD? And you got the guys, do you mind buying a CD off me? I don't care how much you take. You'd rather buy the one off the guy that's, So I think it's innovative. I don't know how long they could keep that up for though.
Yeah, you'd probably have to do it like 4 or 5 games a season, but realistically, you can't do it all the time.
But they could come up with some interesting ideas because they themselves could then, do a sort of scheme like, okay, then just throwing one out there. VIP, put a ridiculous price on it. People might pay that. Because they'll see the big difference. They'll be like,
well, it might be one of them was if you contribute over a certain amount, you get entered into a prize draw or something like that.
Stuff like that. This is a lot of interesting things they could do with that sort of going on with that sort of idea. So I think it's great.
I just think the Accrington Stanley one is a mug off. That is such a mug off. Why am I gonna buy? Why am I gonna waste money buying a ticket to a match that's not gonna happen?
Don't know.
It just doesn't even make sense.
But
it is what's up with that because it doesn't even make sense.
They're taking it into the hip hop frenzy. You get me? You're like Wu-Tang selling a CD for like £200 and everything's £1,000 because they've got unlimited. No, auctioning.
Right.
Their next album, they want to auction it. Apparently, their next album, they want to auction it. Yeah, and it's only going to be one made.
Okay. It's going to be very interesting. For me, it's a case of with the Accrington Stanley one, I think it's a mug off. I'm just thinking.
I don't know what the hell's going on here. Wait a minute. But I don't
So maybe what they could do.
I don't like it at all.
That's my view on the Accrington Stanley thing because it's a mug off to the fans.
What they could do is auction a season ticket and see how many fans will bid for it. I'm just putting it out there.
That's not too bad. That's not too bad.
Start at £1. Just saying.
Do any of the Skypers want to jump in before we just to round us out? Go on, Mike Harniman, have at it, man.
Yeah, I just think with the Accrington one, you don't see Luton doing the same thing now that they got knocked out by Cambridge, do you? Like, because obviously the tickets for Cambridge Man U's gone on sale today. You don't see Luton putting out, we're going to do the same thing as Accrington. We're going to give you tickets anyway. Just come down and buy them. You ain't going to watch no football for it, but, we'll help the club out.
No, of course, and that's the important thing, helping the club out. But at the same time, don't con the fans by selling something, by basically selling tickets for something that's not going to happen. That's just a con off. If you want help with transfers, just ask the fans. We're trying to set up a transfer fund to buy players.
But
just
they
be
almost
transparent.
went bust a couple of years ago as well. They were struggling right at the bottom of League Two for about 4 or 5 seasons, so they probably still got debts to pay as well.
I mean, Jaymie Bailey, did you want to jump in as well?
Yeah, does anybody remember 2006 when Arsenal decided to shut down the area of North London the day before the Champions League final, and then we didn't even win it?
No, I don't remember that. I remember you not winning it, but I don't remember the area.
Yeah, I bet you do.
Oh yeah, oh wow.
No, we the whole of the Islington area around the Emirates was literally shut down, and apparently, obviously the stadium hadn't been built, but around the whole of Highbury, the Emirates, down to Finsbury Park, all the way up to I think it was King's Cross. They literally shut down the entire area for literally just to say, "Oh, we've beaten Barcelona already." That's your incentive. Go and win it. Next thing you know, we've been beaten 2-1, and I don't know what happened, but the entire area was shut for a couple of days after that final.
I was gonna say you got to plan them kind of things in advance, but you got to cancel those plans when stuff doesn't go to plan, rather than just letting it happen. That's a muggle. That is affecting a lot of people, by the way, because from Finsbury Park, they're all the way down Caledonian Road. That's through Caledonian Road. That's a long way.
Well, that's the thing. That's what happened. A whole bunch of them.
Are you gonna do your Kermit impression? Yeah, I'm making some Lipton for this, but that's not. It's one of them was we shut down North London for a parade, but that's none of my business.
Well, I don't know what happened, but it was just for the entire day. Nobody could actually use North London in that area. From I think it was a Wednesday game, so nobody could actually go to the stadium or anything else for work until I think the Friday.
But that's it's one of them ones. I mean that is a mad one. But I mean at the end of the day, I mean, not to put too fine a point on it, it's a case of, as I said, I think Accrington are mugging it off, but Inverness, as the G-Man said, are innovative. So, but you know what? It is one of them ones. It is time. It is about that time for us to start vacating the place with a haste. So we gotta pause that particular track that we were on because it is time. It is time. Of course, we apologize for the the very late start. Having some tech difficulties there. But you know what? It is time for
Hi, I'm John Sitton and I'm here with Gavin, Liam and Gerald on Pitch Talk.
The football talk show that pulls no punches and holds back nothing on opinions.
Hello, I'm Rob Russ. My name is Christian Carambeu.
I'm grassroots coach Manisha Taylor.
Hi, I'm Matt Hodgson, director of the 4-year plan, and you're listening to Pitch Talk, the only place to get your Monday night footballing fix.
Make sure you join the revolution.
The pitch is where we eat.
The pitch is where we sleep.
And the pitch is where we talk.
I'm Andy Copeland from the Glennet Southern Amateur League.
Philip Wick, I'm CEO of 14.
I'm Rob Lusher, former chairman of Ibis FC.
I'm Samir Sawney, co-founder and co-director of Motivate Sports and Fitness.
And you're listening
And you're listening to Pitch Talk.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, straight shooting LJ, the G-Man and Jesse Fizzle proudly bring to you every Monday night the football talk show that pulls no punches and holds back nothing on opinions, because the pitch is where we eat.
The pitch is where you sleep.
And the pitch is where we talk. Yeah. www.pitch-talk.com is where you get your official Pitch Talk talcum powder. Anyway, so I had to reference that back again. www.pitch-talk.com is the official website. Facebook.com/Pitch Talk. Become a fan, become a friend, become a member of the group. Join the footballing revolution. We are working so hard to create. MySpace.com/Pitch Talk. PitchTalk.blogspot.com or .co.uk will get you to the blogs. Blogs by yours truly, Straight Shooting LJ, the G-Man, Jesse Fizzle, and many others, including Dave Mear, aka at Mear C. Mike Harniman's got a couple coming soon. We had Russ Vernon, who has sent one to us recently, and it's up as well. So one of them was Dave Mear, aka at Mear C2, with his blogs. Big T, aka Thomas Hewitt, big shout outs to him. Congrats on winning the bet as well from Betfred in regards to Arsenal v Stoke. It's one of them ones. We've had some interesting topics up for debate this week, and we've had fun debating them. Thank you to the Skypers for joining us. Remember, Pitch Talk 1 on Skype, #PT Live or #Pitch Talk Live are the hashtags. Tag us. Let's get your Monday night footballing fix trending. #PT Live or #Pitch Talk Live. Use either or. It doesn't matter. Both will help us trend. It's all good. Join the footballing revolution. YouTube.com/Pitch Talk for all the latest videos, including the upcoming advert for the upcoming Pitch Talk meets Dave McLaughlin, chairman of 14 SAL, Southern Amateur League side, Alexandra Park FC. Get your questions in. Email pitchtalk@gmail.com. Skypers, of course, email your questions in. Also, it is our pleasure to say big thank you to Thin White Line magazine for the regular A-League roundup, which focused on the Asian Cup this week as well. Big shouts to Ian Kerr at Tweet White Line, Facebook.com/Thin White Line magazine, and www.thinwhitelinemagazine.com. Remember, we feature in issue 0. So get those too. Also, remember 07535804466 is the mobile number. Call us, text us, let us know your views. At Pitch Talk on Twitter is the Twitter handle. Did we have anything on the socials this week? Let's read some things from the socials out just to round out the show.
Just to round out then. All right then. First of all, we'll be on Twitter. Big shout out to Seaboss. Put a question out there. Ronaldo wins the Ballon d'Or, beating both Messi and Neuer. Not sure we all agree with this in the PT Live studio, but what about you? And Seaboss has actually said best player in the world beat two people who played in the World Cup final, one of whom won it. Yeah, sounds about right.
What else have we got on the socials?
Also, big shout out to Dub Scouse. Basically, we put out Sadio Baharino edged the voting for the under-21s player of the year, just over Harry Kane. Would you agree? Dub Scouse has said, Kane for me has the potential to be the next Shearer. Great work rate and attitude.
It's an interesting one. That is actually an interesting one. There was actually an interesting tweet earlier in the day from... oh God, I think it might have been from EJM. I think it might have been EJM on Twitter about the Stephanie Roach goal as well that was up for nomination. But But yeah, no, it was actually Dubscouse. I think it was actually Dubscouse in terms of importance of the goal. So just thought we'd mention that as well. We get anything on FB as well? On them words, let's keep on with the socials. Let's keep on with the socials, man. We got so far into debate tonight that we didn't get to reference some of the comments, but you know what? It is.
Well, you know what? We had a few snippets where there were likes and that. We want to say big shout out to Kieran, who was in the chat with us earlier on. Also, Big T, who's out there.
I always throw them T's up for Big T.
He's out there somewhere. One day he will return. He will return.
Nah, I hear that. Big shout outs actually also to Russ Vernon, Mike Harniman, Kieran Riley, Lily Alumi, Ryan Stevens, who was with us, Tom Wood, among others. Russ Vernon too, one of them. Was big shout outs to everyone who joined us in the Skype chat. Also Jaymie JBK Bailey too. I've been straight shooting LJA.
And I've been the G-Man.
And we will say thank you very much for joining us, everybody. Good night.